A widowed millionaire boards a budget diner with his twin granddaughters, dressed like a man counting pennies, when a soft-spoken librarian pays their bill without blinking. Everything he thought he knew about love, loss, and second chances is turned upside down. But can their fragile connection survive the glare of unwanted fame? Keep watching to find out. Chapter 1: The Unlikely Reservation. 1. Are you sure you want the early bird special, sir? It's mostly retirees at that hour. The young hostess at Rosie's country diner tilted her head, studying the silver-haired man in front of her. He wore a flannel shirt gone slightly threadbare at the elbows, khaki pants that bagged at the knees, and a pair of weather-beaten loafers that had clearly seen too many seasons. In his arms wriggled two 6-year-old girls, identical strawberry blonde pigtails, identical souls of protest. "I'm a retiree," he answered with a playful wink. "Besides, these little rascals like eating early. Bedtime's a hard deadline in Grandpa Land." Harvey Whittaker, known to business magazines as H.J. Whittaker, manufacturing magnate and silent majority shareholder in no fewer than 9 Fortune 500 companies, shifted the twins on his hips and flashed a grin that was half apology, half challenge. If the hostess recognized him, she didn't show it. That was the point. Gone were the bespoke suits, the polished shoes, the chauffeured Maybach. Tonight was about being ordinary, very, very ordinary. "Table for 3, she asked. "Technically 4, Harvey said, nodding toward the ragged plush bunny squeezed under Nora's arm. "Bon Bon needs his own seat." Nora giggled. Margot rolled her eyes. The hostess stifled a smile and led them past a small army of laminate tables, every one of them topped with plastic napkin dispensers, chip syrup bottles, and laminated menus whose corners curled like autumn leaves. 2. Harvey had chosen Rosie's for one reason: no one from the financial pages would step foot inside. His assistant had begged him to pick something more appropriate. Harvey ignored her, booked the lone window booth, and borrowed his Landscaper's 2010 pickup just to complete the charade. The twins thought it was an adventure. They bounced in the front seat shouting "truck, truck" every time he hit a pothole. To them, Grandpa's eccentricities were as normal as brushing teeth. To Harvey, tonight felt like walking a tightrope. One misstep and the mask would slide off. 3. He arranged the girls on booster cushions and handed them kids' menus complete with cartoon cowboys riding pancakes, while they bickered over whether to color the syrup bottle blue or green. He checked his watch. 6:07 p.m. "She's not coming." A flare of anxiety bloomed in his chest. He'd met Lucille on Silver Love, the dating app his golf buddy insisted he try. "It's for folks our age," the buddy had said. "Less games, more honesty." Honesty. The word tasted ironic. Harvey's profile photo was honest incog, just cropped so the cashmere collar didn't show. He'd listed himself as retired match-end shop supervisor, technically accurate if one ignored the zeros attached to his severance package. Lucille had sounded charming in messages: a part-time librarian, widowed, fond of gardening, allergic to pretense. She'd chosen Rosie's, said it reminded her of her hometown cafe. Harvey agreed instantly, even though he'd never set foot inside. Now, at 6:08, the booth across from him sat empty. Nora tugged his sleeve. "Grandpa, the crayons are broken." "That's okay, sweet pea. Broken things still color." He leaned back, trying to ignore the glare of the overhead fluorescent panel and the knot in his stomach. The girls hummed and scribbled. Somewhere behind the counter a dishwasher rattled trays. A country song from 20 years ago crackled through tinny speakers. 6:11. Harvey pulled out his flip phone, a other prop in tonight's magic show, and considered texting her. But what would he say? "Are you lost?" He sighed. Maybe she'd taken one look at him wrangling 2 children and driven away. A cautious woman would. These weren't his children, of course they were his late daughters. A truth too heavy for a first date. Or maybe Lucille Googled his real name at the last minute, found the Forbes profile, and decided she wanted nothing to do with an old billionaire who slummed it for kicks. Either way, the result was the same: empty seat, awkward evening. 4. "Excuse me?" A gentle voice floated over the vinyl booth divider. Harvey looked up. A woman stood there clutching a woven tote and a small bouquet of daisies wrapped in newspaper. She wore a denim jacket over a floral dress, white sneakers, and a look of mild panic, as though she'd walked into the wrong classroom and couldn't find the exit. "Are you Harvey?" she asked. He swallowed. "I am." She exhaled, relief softening her shoulders. "I'm Lucille. So sorry I'm late. Bus driver missed the turn, and I figured you wouldn't want me texting while dangling from the overhead strap." Harvey's pulse steadied. The empty seat was empty no more. Luil's gaze dropped to the twins, who stared back like twin meerkats. Oh, she smiled, eyes widening behind round tortoiseshell glasses. And who are these dignitaries? Nora puffed her cheeks. I'm Nora. Margot offered a shy wave. I'm Margot. This is Bunbon. Luil's grin grew. Bunbon looks like a well-traveled fellow. He's missing an ear, Nora informed her gravely. That just means he listens extra hard with the other one, Lucille said, sliding into the booth. Harvey blinked. Most adults stumbled when confronted with the twins' bluntness. Lucille seemed to find her footing instantly. 5. Menus rustled. Lucille tucked a loose strand of silver-streaked hair behind her ear. Harvey noticed faint freckles across her nose, the kind that spoke of gardens and sunlight. Thank you for meeting me here, she said. Not everyone appreciates Heckin' Fry's steak decor. Rosie's has character, he replied, and free refills on lemonade, hard to beat. The girls cheered at the word lemonade. A waitress named Darlene arrived, all pink uniform and bubblegum chewing. She set down 4 glasses of water, then raised an eyebrow at the daisies. Special occasion? Lucille blushed. Just thought the table needed a little spring. Darlene winked. Honey, everything needs a little spring. She took drink orders, 2 lemonades, 1 unsweetened iced tea, and a coffee, and sauntered away. Lucille arranged the daisies in a jelly jar. The twins coughed. Harvey felt something uncoil in his chest. Maybe tonight wouldn't be a disaster after all. 6. Conversation began in stop-start fashion with bus routes, the diner's infamous rhubarb pie. Lucille asked the twins about school. Nora launched into a tale of tadpoles in the classroom aquarium. Margot chimed in with a soliloquy on why recess should be longer than math. Lucille listened, truly listened, nodding like their opinions ranked alongside Nobel lectures. Harvey found himself watching her more than speaking. She laughed with her whole face. She tapped the table when excited, a small rhythmic pattern that matched the cadences of the girls' exuberant stories. When she sipped tea, she closed her eyes as though petitioning it to be excellent. Midway through Margot's rant about cafeteria carrots, Darlene returned balancing entrees. Plates splattered, steam rose in savory clouds. Who ordered the dinosaur-shaped nuggets? Darlene asked. Both twins yelled me. Darlene set down 2 identical kitty plates, then slid a modest grilled Heckin' salad to Lucille and a meatloaf mountain to Harvey. Y'all enjoy. She plunked the bill face down beside Harvey's fork. The sight of the check jolted him. He'd purposely left his platinum card at home. Stuffed $24 in cash into his wallet to sell the illusion. Rosie's prices were low, but not that low. Add tip, dessert for the girls. Maybe milkshakes might come up short. Panic pricked his skin. Lucille noticed. Everything okay? Harvey forced a smile. Just thinking about the rhubarb pie could derail my diet. She chuckled and speared a cherry tomato. 7. The next 30 minutes unfurled like a sundown breeze. The twins dipped nuggets in ketchup, swapping stegosaurus limbs for triceratops tails. Harvey told Lucille about the girls' love of astronomy. Lucille confessed she'd once dreamed of being an astronaut but flunked high school physics. Harvey admitted he'd nearly blown up the lab during his own school days when a Bunsen burner met a rogue paper airplane. Laughter came easy, even Harvey's usual internal answer, but part that measured every word for potential headlines, dosed happily. When dessert menus arrived, the twins begged for milkshakes the color of the sunset. Darlene suggested strawberry peach swirl. They applauded. Lucille ordered nothing, claiming sweet tea counted as her slice of pie. Harvey reached for the check again, heart thumping. He unfolded it, caught a glimpse of the total, $38.47, and winced. He had exactly $37. Of all the nights to play pauper, he thought. Lucille dabbed her lips with a napkin. Harvey, would you mind terribly if I took care of dinner? He snapped his gaze up. I know that's not necessary. She smiled softly. Necessary? Maybe not. But I'd like to. You've got your hands full keeping tiny paleontologists safe. The twins looked up, cheeks ribboned with pink shake mustaches. Nora whispered, Grandpa sharing is caring. Harvey inhaled. Pride wrestled gratitude. Gratitude won. If you insist, he said, voice low. Lucille signaled Darlene, produced a worn leather wallet, and handed over a debit card. Harvey noticed a sticker on the card, a tiny sunflower. Something about that small decoration pinched his heart. 8. When the bill was paid and leftovers boxed, Harvey wrangled the twins into jackets. Outside, twilight painted the parking lot lavender. The pickup looked suddenly vast against Luil's petite frame. Can we give you a ride? Harvey asked. She shook her head. Bus stop's only 2 blocks. Nice evening for a stroll. He hesitated. He wanted more time, another mile, another minute, to figure out why this woman's quiet kindness felt like oxygen. May I walk you? He offered. Lucille chuckled. 3 against 1. I'd feel like royalty. They began their slow procession down Maple Avenue. The twins hopped between puddles glowing with streetlight halos. Lucille swung her tote, telling a story about how daisies symbolize new beginnings. Harvey listened, memorizing the cadence of her voice. At the corner, the bus approached, brakes hissing. Lucille knelt to hug the girls. Thank you for sharing your nuggets, she whispered. Nora giggled. Margot pressed Bun Bun into Lucille's arms for a split second, an encomium of trust, before reclaiming him. Lucille straightened, eyes meeting Harvey's. Tonight was lovely. He managed, it was though the words felt too small. She stepped onto the bus, settled near the window. As it pulled away, she raised her hand. Harvey mirrored the gesture, palm open to the cooling night. 9. During appetizers, Harvey noticed Lucy's fingers fidgeting, stage jitters. Worried about public speaking, she admitted, and high heels. He squeezed her hand. Remember, you've read Beatrix Potter to a room of overtired kindergartners. Senators are easier. She smiled, shoulders loosening. 8. When dessert plates cleared, Capel crisp with dollops of whipped cream, Principal Blythe, now a staunch ally, introduced Harvey. Applause echoed. Harvey spoke for 5 minutes, told the tale of a dinner check, a librarian's kindness, and broken crayons coloring galaxies. He acknowledged grievances of wealth imbalance, offered transparency, then unveiled the challenge: grant $5 million statewide if communities matched it within a year. Rising cheer nearly lifted tablecloths. He gestured to Lucy. She approached the podium, heels steady. The twins rushed to pin papier-mâché corsages on her wrists. Roud melted. Lucy cleared her throat. Stories saved me twice, she began. First when I was a little girl too shy to make friends. Later after losing my husband. Books were doorways out of grief. She paused, eyes moist. Tonight we open those doorways for thousands more. Back at home, after teeth were brushed and bedtime stories read, Harvey found himself alone in the den. He sank into an armchair, stared at the silent fireplace, and let the evening replay. Harvey watched, heart drumming in proud astonishment. Lucy finished, voice unwavering. We aren't handing out charity, we're handing out passports. Bon voyage, readers. Standing ovation. 9. After speeches, jazz resumed. Couples danced between tables. The twins twirled with DeAndre, and Elaine snapped photos. Harvey guided Lucy to the balcony where night air smelled of lilac and new asphalt. Moonlight silvered her dress. He wanted to capture the entire scenes, all wink. Sax echo, Lucy's green dress shimmering like forest after rain, and folded into his wallet. He produced a small velvet pouch. Lucy raised an eyebrow. Gift exchange wasn't on the itinerary. He shrugged. Consider it spontaneous curriculum. She untied the drawstring. Inside lay a grain, gold hammered softly to catch light. Set with 3 stones, a sunflower yellow citrine flanked by 2 tiny emerald chips, the exact shade of library card backs. Lucille paying the bill. Her breath hitched. Harvey? He knelt, not full kneel, knees protested, but one knee half bent, reverent. The twins invented promise rings. I'm borrowing their blueprint. Tears pooled in her eyes. You saw the father in me when headlines saw a bankroll. You heard my heart stutter long before it found its rhythm again. Marry me, Lucy Quinn, not because of what we build, but because of how we build together. Messy, colorful, true. Silence except distant jazz. Lucy pressed fingers to her mouth, bead rings sparkling beside the new gold. Yes, she whispered, then louder, yes. Applause erupted from the doorway. The twins had discovered the spectacle. Dragging DeAndre and Aunt Elaine, Nora squealed. Margot jumped, shouting, Operation Promise achieved. Harvey slid the ring onto Lucy's finger beside the bead band. Perfect fit. 10. The next morning they convened in the cottage kitchen. Harvey, Lucy, twins, Aunt Elaine, DeAndre, and sleep-rumpled volunteers who'd crashed on couches. Pancakes towered like leaning libraries. Butter dripped down spines. Lucille listening to the twins' tadpole saga like it was Shakespeare. Harvey tapped a coffee mug. Family meeting. The twins hushed everyone with theatrical finger wags. He announced the engagement. Cheers shook window panes. DeAndre riffed Here Comes the Bride on sax. Slightly off-key, the twins presented newly glued bead rings for Harvey and themselves, Simbali wedding party accessories. Lucy laughed until tears streamed. My heart can't hold more. Expand, Harvey teased. She leaned into him, bead ring and citrine glinting side by side like sun and moon coexisting. 11. Days rippled into planning sessions. Lucy insisted on a small ceremony, backyard. Close friends, story caravan as backdrop. Harvey added one extravagance custom bookmarks as favors. Embossed with a quote Nora penned in crayon and digitized by Decandra's design class. Love is the book you never finish. Invitations went out printed on recycled cardstock scented lightly of cedar. Harvey's nod to the cabin. Reporter requests flooded, but Vaughn, Harvey's peer chief, filtered ruthlessly. No tabloids. Only community outlets allowed. One morning Vaughn called, "You'll want to see this." He emailed an op-ed from Clay Davis. The one ritual radio host literacy lovers tie knot, community tied together. The piece praised the foundation's transparency and credited Lucy's courage for turning a billionaire from numbers to narratives. Lucille placing daisies in a jelly jar because every table deserves spring. Harvey forwarded the link to Lucy, adding, "You always rewrite this story." She texted back a sunflower emoji and a heart. 12. April 17th. Wedding day, skies flawless, temperature gentle as a page turn. Folding chairs lined the cottage lawn, the aisle a burlap runner covered in children's drawings laminated for posterity, dragons. Daisy's libraries with rocket boosters. Lucy walked from the guest house, escorted by the twins, each holding a corner of her sunflower bouquet. She wore a simple ivory dress with hidden pockets containing a tiny notebook and pen. Inspiration strikes anytime, she'd said. Her bead promise ring remained on right hand. Citrine engagement ring awaited its companion. Harvey stood under an arch of reclaimed barn wood, our bus parked behind. Engine silent sentinel. He donned a moss green tie dotted with tiny golden books. Margot's design. His boutonniere a single daisy. Decandra's trio played an instrumental version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Guests dabbed eyes. Ms. Diaz officiated, license expedited. She spoke about seeds. Sunflowers follow light. Stories follow hearts. Harvey slid a matching gold band onto Lucy's finger. Lucy reciprocated with one etched inside broken crayons. Forever. They kissed. Cameras clicked, but only those of invited friends. Fireflies seemed to pop early, though it was daylight, perhaps dust motes celebrating. 13. A thought tiptoed through him, equal parts thrilling and terrifying. What if she discovers who I really am? Reception overflowed with potluck dishes. Story caravan doubled as dessert bar, cupcakes on shelves between Goosebumps and Jane Austen. Kids scribbled chalk haikus on bus floor. Approved. Adults formed conga line around the all's wink. Near sunset, Lucy tapped her glass. Before we cut the cake shaped like a stack of novels. Blotter, I have gifts. She produced 2 small velvet pouches, one for Nora, one for Margot. The twins opened them to reveal silver bookmarks engraved with tonight's date and their stick-figure drawing of the family. Tears surprised even the girls. Your love started this, Lucy said, voice wobbling. Thank you for drawing doors. Nora hugged her. Margot whispered, promise kept. 14. Later, when lanterns glowed violet among pines and guests departed, Lucy and Harvey wandered inside the story caravan alone. Shelves smelled of frosting and paper. They sat on beanbags, shoes kicked off, listening to crickets reverse. Harvey exhaled. Married, how does it feel? Lucy traced his wedding band, like the climax of one story and the prologue of another. He chuckled. Will the owl bus be jealous I stole its co-obtain? Would she still laugh the same? Would her eyes still crinkle at the edges when Nora mispronounced paleontologist as paleotecologist? The owl bus approves, she said. He told me so. Harvey caught her cheek in his palm. Lucy Whitaker. She laughed, still getting used to that. He grew serious. None of this would exist without your yes that night at Rosie's. She shook her head. Without your risk of being seen. They kissed amid book spines glowing under string lights. 15. Around midnight, hand in hand, they strolled to the house. The twins slept in hammock chairs again. Bun perched like best man. Lucy tucked blankets, whispered wishes. In Harvey's study, ledger open, he wrote one final entry before honeymoon road trip. Beaded promise, golden promise, infinite pages. He had no answers, only the steady thump of his heart and the lingering scent of daisies Nora had insisted on bringing home. He closed the book, turned off the lamp, and joined Lucy on the porch swing. Winems, his mothers, sang soft harmonies. Stars sprayed across black canvas, each a story yet told. Harvey squeezed Lucy's hand, bead ring pressing against his skin, and understood promises aren't about perfection. They're about presence, 2 souls showing up, day after day, chapter after chapter, willing to revise, eager to read on. Some vows are carved in platinum, others strung with plastic beads. Both can outlast storms when threaded by love steady as sunrise. And so began the next unwritten volume of Harvey and Lucy Whittaker, authors, travelers, librarians of hope, ready to turn another page. The end of Chapter 7. Chapter 8. Porklight Forever. 1. 5 years later, an October sunset painted Willow Creek in honey and copper. Maple leaves fluttered like letters torn from an enormous autumn novel. And the old Whittaker cottage, now officially registered as Story Nest headquarters, glowed with a new brass plaque beside the front steps. Porchlight Forever Project, because every family deserves a welcome home. Inside, Harvey Whittaker adjusted the fixture that inspired it all, a squat glass porch lamp his father once rewired in the 1950s. The bulb had burned out, but tonight's gathering demanded warm light. He twisted in a new lead, clicked the switch, and watched the amber beam spill across the railings, softening the first hints of frost. Before turning out the light, he opened his phone's browser and typed sunflower debit card sticker meaning. The search yielded nothing insightful, but it made him smile. Maybe some mysteries didn't need solving tonight. Still works, he murmured, satisfaction rumbling in a chest that had recently celebrated 71 heart-strong years. From the driveway came the diesel-soft purr of a familiar engine. The original Story Caravan, freshly repainted but forever recognizable by the winking gull, rolled up, followed by 3 smaller vans in matching livery. They parked like geese in formation. The side door folded open, and Lucy stepped down. Wind caught her silver-straight curls. Sunflower earrings flashed. She held a clipboard and an armload of porchlight fixtures, donations from a hardware sponsor. Inventory delivered, she called, waving. Harvey descended the steps and wrapped her in an embrace that still felt like both exhale and ignition. She smelled of travel, road dust and cinnamon gum, and of home. How was South Fork Elementary? He asked. Lucy's smile widened. We registered 73 new library cards, and the 5th graders collected enough change to sponsor 8 porch lights. Nora and Margot's presentation must have landed then. Landed, they launched it. Wait till you see the video. 2. He checked the kitchen table. The daisies drooped slightly in a juice glass. He trimmed their stems, refilled the water, and whispered, "Here's to new beginnings." Nora and Margot, 12 now, braces glittering, emerged from the bus carrying a portable screen and tripod. Nora wore a Story Caravan hoodie 3 sizes too large. Margot sported dungarees splattered with paint. They high-fived Harvey before vanishing inside, calling for Wi-Fi passwords. Teenagers, Lucy chuckled. Still toddlers in my memory, Harvey said, rubbing his knee where he'd once knelt for promise rings. It creaked a little louder these days. Lucy noticed. Sit. I'll round up people. He obeyed, settling into the porch rocker his mother had varnished decades earlier. The cottage lawn buzzed as volunteers unloaded fairy lights, donation jars shaped like miniature houses, and big thermoses for cider. Tonight's event, Porklight Forever's first national livestream, would announce that every foster household on the waiting list would receive a free exterior light, installed by local tradespeople courtesy of the foundation. Sunset deepened to cumber. Harvey closed his eyes, listening to prep chatter blend with cricket orchestras, and felt gratitude hum between ribs. 3. It began 3 springs ago. The Story Caravan pulled up to a foster home in rural Miller County. Lucy, Nora, and Margot noticed the house in shadows, porch bulb long dead. The twins asked why. Lucy answered gently, some families can't afford new fixtures or wiring, and some renters aren't allowed to install them. That night, riding home, the girls hatched the Porklight Forever idea: donate fixtures, hardware, and volunteer electricians, ensuring every child came home to a lit doorway. Harvey loved it instantly, so did sponsors. Within 18 months, 2.0 lights shone across 3 states. And tonight they would go national. Upstairs, the twins murmured in their sleep. Harvey closed his eyes, listening to the house breathe, wondering if the unlikely reservation at Rosie's might be the first domino in a line he never knew he'd set up. 4. Inside, the living room had become a studio. Deckender, now majoring in music engineering but always the caravan sackman, adjusted microphones while his girlfriend May set up a ring light, the Vedico kind, not porch kind. Gus, the retired mechanic, tested a small solar panel display, still smelling faintly of motor oil. Lucy perched on a stool center stage, bead promise ring still alongside the gold wedding band. Harvey stood off a mirror, ready to speak second. The twins would close, presenting video messages from Porchlight recipients. May counted down, live in 3, 2, 1. Lucy looked into the lens. Good evening, storytellers, travelers, neighbors. 5 years ago, one porch light in this very house reminded us that home begins at the door. Tonight, we invite you to pass that glow forward. Harvey followed with details: corporate match limits, volunteer sign-up links, the map of requests already waiting. Then Nora and Margot cued their short film, a montage: kids tossing basketballs beneath new amber bulbs. A shy teen reading on steps now bright enough for pages. A foster mom wiping tears as electricians cheered, flipping a switch. By the time the live stream ended, donation counters pinged like slot machines. May flashed a thumbs up, first goal met within 9 minutes. Applause erupted. Hugs overlapped, and someone popped a bottle of sparkling cider that geysered onto the rug. 5. The crowd drifted outdoors where fairy lights crisscrossed between pines. Folding tables groaned under potluck generosity. Gus grilled corn on a refurbished tractor muffler, been sanitized, I swear. DeCandra's quartet looped mellow jazz, sax weaving with crickets. Outside, a late spring breeze pushed clouds across the moon, and somewhere, not far away, a bus rumbled down an empty street carrying a woman who had paid for dinner when a billionaire couldn't or wouldn't. Harvey stood at the edge, soaking the tableau. Lucy joined him, brushing breadcrumbs from her skirt. Numbers look promising, she said. 3,000 lights pledged already. He reached for her hand, all from a dinner check at Rosie's. Lucy laughed softly, and 2 girls with markers. They watched Nora demonstrate a solar porch lamp to younger kids while Margot painted glow-in-the-dark stars on driveway stones, forming a path to the bus. The teens from that first advisory board were now college interns, teaching the next batch of volunteers. We started something bigger than we'll ever tally, Harvey said. Lucy squeezed his fingers. Legacy match, immeasurable by design. 6. Around 10 p.m., the crowd thinned. Vans departed, volunteers hugging goodnight. The twins retreated to their loft bedroom, arguing about whether glow-painted stones should outline a dragon or a constellation tomorrow. Harvey and Lucy stacked chairs, collected cider cups, and at last collapsed onto the porch swing, breath frosting in the chill. Harvey felt lighter than he had in years. The new lead bulb burned steady above them. A halo of light pooled over the steps, glowing golden against the dark yard, lighthouse for moths and memories. Do you ever miss the quiet? Lucy asked, head on Harvey's shoulder. He thought, the house is fuller now, voices, doors, laughter at odd times. But the quiet inside me is stronger, because I know why the noise exists. She nodded against his sweater. Purpose hums louder than chaos. 7. Wind rustled the maples. Somewhere in the guest house a wind chime tinkled, Harvey's mother's melody. He cleared his throat. I wrote something, he said, producing a folded page. Not a ledger entry this time, an actual story. Flash fiction, I think. Lucy sat up, eyes curious, read it. He unfolded the paper, smoothing edges. Moonlight and pork light mingled on ink. A man built walls of money, he began, voice low, until a librarian walked through without knocking. She carried crayons. With them, she redrew the walls into doors. Then windows, then horizons. The man followed her beyond his property line. And together they discovered street after street of darkened porches. So they hung lights, ones, 10, hundreds, until finally they realized they were no longer counting lights. They were counting homecomings, each brighter than the last. The end. Tomorrow, he decided, the twins would draw thank you pictures, and maybe, just maybe, he'd ride the bus to the library on Maple and 3rd. Lucy's eyes shimmered. You're a writer, Mr. Whitaker. Took me long enough to learn the alphabet, he joked. She kissed his cheek. Best story I've heard all day. He folded the page back into his pocket. It's yours. She leaned in. Ours. 8. A crunch of gravel announced new footsteps. Principal Blythe, retired, but forever ties adorned, approached carrying a small box. Forgive the late visit, he said. Wanted to deliver this in person. He handed Lucy the box. Inside lay dozens of thank you drawings from current students' houses with shining porch lights. Smiling stick families, captions like light for love and you helped us feel safe. Lucy blinked back tears. Please tell them we'll hang these in the caravan windows. Because some debts couldn't be settled with money. I'll do better, Blythe said, producing a folded sheet. We're renaming the school library the Quinn Whitaker Reading Room. Words stuck in Lucy's throat. Harvey placed a steady hand on her back. You honored us, Blythe continued. We thought it only right to honor you. Lucy found her voice. Thank you. But remember, it all started with kids who believed broken crayons still color. Blythe nodded. Those kids learned it from you. 9. After Blythe left, the couple sat quiet, overwhelmed. Then Lucy laughed suddenly. "What?" Harvey asked. "I keep thinking about the first time I paid for dinner. You looked like a man who'd lost his wallet and maybe his world." Probably had, he admitted. Because broken crayons still colored. And all I could think was, be kind. Turns out kindness compounds interest faster than any stock. He chuckled. Better dividends too. From the driveway, the Call's mechanical wink caught their eyes. Gis had rigged it to blink every time someone donated online. Another wink flashed. 4,000, Lucy guessed. Harvey shook his head in wonder, porch lights multiplying like stars. 10. Midnight crept in, the porch swing squeaked gently under their weight. Across the yard, faint laughter drifted, Nora and Margot still awake, planning constellations. Harvey turned to Lucy. "We should sleep." "We will," she answered. "But let's keep the porch light on just tonight. For the cause." "For forever," he corrected softly. "Because every table deserved a little spring." She smiled, nestling closer. "Porch light forever." They sat until dew silvered the grass, until the owl winked 50 more times, until their eyelids drooped. Finally they rose. Harvey paused at the door, hand on the switch, but left the bulb glowing. He placed a note beneath it for the twins to find at breakfast. "Leave this light burning. Someone out there is still finding their way home." Lucy linked her arm in his, and together they stepped inside, leaving the porch awash in warm gold like an unending invitation. Behind them the door clicked gently, but the light remained, spilling down the steps, across the stone path, onto the driveway, and beyond, guiding every traveler, every reader, every child clutching fresh pages toward a front door that would now always shine. 11. Epilogue 10 years on. A decade later, a journalist writing a retrospective on the Porch Light Forever project asked Nora, then a third-year architecture student, why a simple bulb mattered so much. End of chapter 1. She answered, "Because my sister and I once drew a picture to heal a broken billionaire. That picture became a porch light for our family. We just kept passing the torch." In his study, Harvey framed the article beside Celeste's coal dust photo. Beneath it, the original bead promise ring rested in a shadow box. Colors faded but unbroken. Each evening, whether home or far away visiting new caravan chapters, he called Lucy. One of them always asked, "Is the porch light on?" And the answer without fail was yes. Because some stories may end paragraphs, but they do not dim. They glow, soft, steady, waiting, so the next reader can open the door and step inside. End of chapter 8. Chapter 2. Crayons and Conversations. 1. Saturday sunlight filtered through gauzy bedroom curtains, turning the twins' room into a watercolor wash of gold and cream. At precisely 6:02 a.m., Nora sat bolt upright on her twin bed. Hair sticking up like a startled dandelion, she squinted across the room at her sister. "Are you awake?" she stage whispered. Margot answered with an exaggerated snore, her favorite method of pretending sleep when she in fact was already plotting the day. But the facade lasted only seconds before she cracked one eye open and grinned. "Bus ride," she mouthed. They scrambled from their blankets and tiptoed past Grandpa Harvey's door. The old farmhouse creaked and moaned as though it, too, was rousing from slumber. Downstairs, they set out the supplies for their morning ritual: 2 cereal bowls, 3 slices of bread for the birds, and a mountain of crayons dumped across the kitchen table. They had a mission. 2. Harvey's footsteps shuffled down the hallway, followed by the soft thud of his aunt's and cover prop, the one he actually needed on damp days. He paused in the doorway, absorbing the scene. 2 granddaughters, pajama-clad, heads bent in ferocious concentration over construction paper. The waxy smell of crayons mingled with the earthy aroma of percolating coffee. "Morning, starlings," he said. "Morning," they chirped in unison without looking up. Harvey poured coffee, laced it with a sinful amount of real cream, and took a thoughtful sip. "Art in progress." "A thank you card for Lucille," Nora announced. She held up her work, a stick figure woman with huge round glasses, an army of daisies at her feet, and a speech bubble saying, "Spring for everyone." Harvey chuckled. "She'll love it." Margot, tongue protruding from the corner of her mouth, added finishing touches to a bus shaped like a dragon. Lucille sat in the driver's seat. The twins dangled out the windows waving flags. Margot scrawled "Best bus ever" underneath. They were already more eloquent than he could ever be on paper. 3. By 9 o'clock, the trio was buckled into the pickup. The thank you artwork rested safely in a manila envelope. Harvey wore the same flannel shirt, though freshly laundered, and swapped khakis for denim jeans still stiff from infrequent use. He'd considered dressing up, maybe a blazer to impress, but decided authenticity might serve him better than polish today. He did, however, make one concession: cologne, a discreet dab of cedar and sage behind each ear. The scent reminded him of the woods behind his childhood house, of a time before money grew so loud he sometimes couldn't hear his own heart. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready!" Nora punched the air. Margot performed an imaginary drumroll on the dashboard. Harvey turned the key and the pickup coughed to life. 4. They arrived on Maple and 3rd earlier than planned. The public library stood like a brick-and-glass guardian of quiet wonders. Banners advertised spring reading programs. A hotboard on the sidewalk declared, "Today's story hour adventures underground, ages 4-8. Green ivy climbed a trellis near the entrance, dotted with tiny buds just beginning to unfurl. Harvey's pulse tapped a nervous Morse code against his ribs. He smoothed his hair, took the twins' hands, and stepped inside. At once, cool air kissed their cheeks, scented with dust, paper, and lemon floor wax, the fragrance of possibility. Low bookcases created a maze of color. Children darted between shelves like hyperactive rabbits. Parents clustered near the reading nook, a circular rug patterned with planets and stars. Someone was already seated in the storyteller's armchair, book poised. Lucille. 5. She wore a mint green cardigan over a lemon yellow blouse, the colors echoing spring buds. Her hair, threaded with silver, was pinned loosely at the nape, curls escaping to frame her face. She scanned the small audience, eyes brightening when she spotted the twins. To their delight, she lifted a hand and wiggled her fingers in greeting. But she didn't break character. The show must go on. Harvey guided the girls to an open patch on the rug. They settled cross-legged among toddlers wielding sippy cups and great shucklers engaged in covert pulpman trades. A hush fell as Lucille cleared her throat. "Good morning, adventurers," she began, voice laced with theatrical anticipation. "Today we journey beneath the earth, where roots twist like dragon tails and moles wear tiny helmets." Giggling erupted. Even Harvey, perched awkwardly on a too small chair at the back, found himself leaning forward, charmed. Lucille opened the book, rich illustrations, thick pages, and launched into a tale of inquisitive worms, lost seeds, and a brave beetle who saved the day. Her narration was part lullaby, part stand-up routine. She changed voices effortlessly, high and squeaky for the beetle, gravelly for the old earthworm philosopher. When she delivered the story's moral, even the smallest shovel can make room for the biggest dream. Harvey felt his eyes water. He blamed dust motes, though none were visible. 6. Story hour ended in applause. Children scattered like dandelion fluff, each clutching a worm or beetle coloring sheet given by Lucille. The twins lingered, waiting politely as Lucille chatted with parents about library cards and volunteer opportunities. When the last family drifted away, Nora and Margot pounced. "We made you something," Margot announced, thrusting the manila envelope forward. Will's face lit up. She accepted the envelope with ceremonious care. Sliding out the drawings, she gasped at Margot's dragon bus, traced a daisy petal on Nora's stick figure masterpiece, and finally pressed both pages to her chest. "These are treasures," she whispered. "Treasures belong in special places." She motioned toward the circulation desk. "May I display them on our art wall?" The twins nodded, twin storms of pride reddening their cheeks. Harvey stepped closer, clearing his throat. "Morning, Lucille." "Morning, Harvey." She tucked a loose curl behind her ear. Her glasses slipped down her nose. She nudged them back with a fingertip. "I'm glad you all came." "Wouldn't miss it for the world," he said, realizing mid-sentence how true that felt. 7. Lucille led them to the art wall, a corkboard collage of children's creations, papier-mâché suns, watercolor rainbows, a particularly interpretive crayon portrait of Abraham Lincoln as a cyborg. She pinned the twins' drawings front and center, then stepped back for their appraisal. "It's perfect," Nora declared. "We need a photo," Margot insisted. Lucille obliged, using Harvey's flip phone at his fumbling request. The photo she captured was grainy but glorious, twins beaming, crayon hands raised, Harvey standing behind them, mouth halfway to a grin. Lucille's finger visible in the frame because she'd pressed the shutter too late. Imperfect, authentic. When the picture saved, Harvey felt a strange tingle, like the universe nudging him. "Remember this. Remember exactly this." 8. "Would you like a tour?" Lucille asked. Harvey deferred to the twins, who answered with a chorus of yes. "Please." Lucille launched into guide mode, pointing out sections: picture books, early readers, mysteries, biographies. "Here's where I keep Eleanor Roosevelt. She's like a superhero." Just without the cape, she slipped anecdotes between Dewey Decimals, turning ordinary shelves into maps of hidden treasures. At the genealogy counter, she paused. This is where people come to learn where they've been so they know where they're going. Harvey's gaze lingered on a faded black and white photo clipped to a board a miner standing beside a mule cart. Underneath, Nate cursive identified him as Silas Whitaker, 1902. Harvey's breath hitched. His great-grandfather. Lucille followed his line of sight. Family. Yes, he said quietly. He dug coal 10 hours a day and still came home to read poetry to his children. My mother said that's where our love of books began. Will's eyes softened. You carry that flame. He swallowed. The assertion felt like both compliment and accusation. He built empires. Yes, but had he fanned the flame or smothered it under profit margins? 9. They ended the tour in a staff lounge tucked behind biography. A kettle whistled on a hot plate. The scent of mint tea drifted. Lucille poured 2 cups, one for herself, one for Harvey, and offered juice boxes to the twins, who whooped and settled at a small table with coloring sheets. Steam curled between Harvey and Lucille as they stood beside an antiquated bulletin board plastered with community notices. Clawstand found spectacles. Piano lessons, a flyer for a pancake breakfast benefiting the animal shelter. Thank you for paying last night, Harvey said, low enough that the twins couldn't overhear. He was caught off guard. Lucille waved a dismissive hand. I've been there. Once my debit card screamed insufficient funds at the grocery checkout. A stranger covered my bread in milk. I've never forgotten the feeling. He studied her. Still, kindness deserves acknowledgement. Kindness is its own acknowledgement, she said, then offered a half smile. But if you really want to repay me, come to the Friends Off the Library fundraiser next Friday. We're selling used books and homemade cookies. He nodded before his brain caught up. Friday nights usually meant board meetings disguised as dinners. But perhaps this time the world could spin without him. 10. Mid-afternoon approached. Nap time called. Harvey thanked Lucille, corralled the twins, begged to stay until the library closed, and promised they'd return soon. On the way out, Lucille touched his arm gently. I hope the early ride home isn't too boring. He offered a sly grin. Who said we're going home? There's an ice cream parlor down the street rumored to scoop a flavor called Worm in the Mud. Seems thematically appropriate. Lucille laughed, the sound like wind chimes. Save room for dinner. He tipped an imaginary hat. Until Friday, Ms. Librarian. As they left, she called after him. Don't forget broken crayon still color. The twins echoed still color all the way to the parking lot. 11. That night, after baths and bedtime stories culled from their new library stash, the girls fell asleep clutching stuffed animals sticky with chocolate syrup. Harvey retreated to his study, a converted barn loft lined with books he rarely cracked anymore. He pulled an old ledger from a shelf, personal projects, ideas, philanthropy. Dust motes spun like tiny UFOs under the lamp. On the first blank page he wrote, Friends Off the Library fundraiser Friday. Goal: do something that makes Silas proud. Below it he jotted figures, silent calculations of what new shelves cost. How many months a small-town branch could keep doors open with an anonymous endowment. Numbers were the language he was fluent in, but tonight they felt lighter, like sheet music before the orchestra plays. He set the ledger aside and opened his laptop. He searched DIY worm cupcakes for the girls. Then typed sunflower debit card sticker, meaning again, laughing at himself. Nothing definitive appeared, but one blog said sunflowers turned toward each other on cloudy days when the sun was hidden. They shared light. He closed the laptop, heart humming. 12. Across town, in a studio apartment above the daisy-chained florist, Lucille unfolded the twins' thank you drawings on her kitchen table. She'd made tea but forgotten to drink it. Steam had deserted the mug hours earlier. She traced crayon lines with her fingertip, feeling the grooves, such earnest strokes, no erasing, no hesitation. Children painted feelings first, questions later. Her gaze drifted to the framed photo on the bookshelf, her late husband, Ezra, standing on a rickety ladder hanging bird feeders in their old backyard. He wore the same goofy grin he'd had on their wedding day. 6 years gone, yet some mornings she still reached across the bed expecting to find him. I met someone interesting today, she murmured to the photo, and to some gones extraordinary. Silence answered, but not emptiness, more like acknowledgement. She pinned the drawings to her refrigerator with sunflower magnets, stepped back, and felt her heart expand, somewhere between the beetle voices and the lemonade mustaches. Something in her life had shifted a millimeter, a nearly imperceptible lick, but she knew big doors sometimes opened on small hinges. Lucille pressed the kettle switch again, waited for the whistle. Outside, night stretched across town, dotted with porch lights, the human constellations of hope. 13. Sunday passed in a blur of ordinary wonders, pancakes shaped like moons, sidewalk chalk galaxies, and a family video all with Harvey's sister in Arizona. The twins acted out the worm story using sock puppets. Aunt Elaine applauded through the screen. Harvey noticed he'd begun measuring time in relation to Friday's fundraiser. 4 more sleeps, he told himself Monday morning, 3 on Tuesday. Each countdown reminded him of childhood Christmases, his father painting the days until holiday mine shutdowns. The only pause coal country ever knew. 14. Wednesday afternoon, Harvey's assistant, Marlene, barged into his private downtown office while he reviewed quarterly reports. "Sir, the board wants confirmation of your attendance at Friday's strategic retreat." He removed reading glasses, pinched the bridge of his nose. "I won't be there." Marlene blinked like a malfunctioning doll. "That retreat was booked a year ago. EOs of 3 subsidiaries will send them my talking points," he interrupted. "I have a prior commitment." Her brows knit warily. "May I ask?" "Friends off the library bake sale," he said. The statement felt both absurd and brilliantly liberating. Marlene's expression facilitated through confusion, disbelief, then a wary respect. She scribbled a note. "Very well. I'll arrange video participation if needed." "Not needed," he said, and reopened the report, heart lighter despite the downward trending bar graph. 15. Thursday night, he couldn't sleep. He padded to the sunroom, curled in a wicker chair, and allowed himself to picture Friday. Lucille, floor-dusted, laughing over cookie trays. The twins manning a lemonade stand, local musicians strumming folk songs under strings of cheap cafe lights. A modest dream, perhaps, yet it felt like the most important appointment on his calendar. He recalled something Silas used to say: according to family lore, the richest veins aren't always under the ground. They're in the people who give you the last candle when the lamp oil runs out. A pulse of guilt flickered, years of accumulating wealth, stockpiling candles he seldom burned. But tomorrow wasn't about guilt, it was about ignition. He finally dozed off, lulled by crickets and distant train whistles, a lullaby of motion promising destinations yet unseen. 16. Friday dawned bright, breezy, and impossibly blue. The twins dressed in matching overalls adorned with felt sunflower patches Nora had painstakingly hot-glued the night before. Harvey donned a crisp white button-down, ironed, but he left the top button undone. Sleeves rolled to the forearms. He looked like himself and someone new at the same time. They loaded the pickup with a folding table, 2 pitchers of homemade lemonade, and 3 plates of chocolate marshmallow brownies the girls insisted were galaxy squares, sprinkled with edible glitter to resemble stars. Halfway to the library, Nora asked, "Grandpa, are we still poor today?" Harvey gripped the wheel, startled. "Why would you ask that?" "Because you said last night we could only stop for ice cream if the sale goes well." He exhaled. "Honeybee, that was Grandpa being silly. We're not poor. But sometimes it's good to act like money isn't magic. It reminds us people are." Margot considered this, then nodded sagely, as though adding it to her mental encyclopedia. Grandpa Proverbs, Volume 2. 17. They arrived an hour early to help set up. Volunteers bustled, unfurling plastic tablecloths patterned with books and tee-ups. String lights zigzagged overhead. Someone wheeled in a portable speaker streaming Sinatra's Young at Heart. Harvey found Lucille near the entrance, taping a welcome reader's banner above the double doors. She wore jeans, canvas sneakers splattered with paint, and a t-shirt that read Literary Rebel. A smear of flour streaked her cheekbone like a badge of honor. "Need a ladder?" Harvey asked. "Just a taller frame," she huffed, standing on tiptoe. Harvey held the banner while she secured the last strip of tape. Their fingers brushed, static crackled, and for a moment they hung suspended between banner and ground, between past and possibility. When they stepped back, the sign sagged ruptly. They laughed. "Perfectly imperfect," Lucille declared. 18. By 4 p.m., the fundraiser vibrated with life. Tables overflowed dog-eared novels, children's picture books, casseroles in disposable pans, quilts auctioned for literacy programs. Retirees carried craft paper bags brimming with first-edition paperbacks. High school volunteers juggled cookie trays. Harvey watched Lucille glide through the chaos, greeting patrons by name, recalling the book each one borrowed last month. He wondered what it felt like to be known so wholly by a community that even your absence created a noticeable hush. He manned the lemonade station with the twins. Whenever patrons thanked him, he replied, "Donation support storytelling magic," and pointed to a mason jar labeled "Every nickel nurtures a novel." Nora handled change. Margot stamped hands with sunflower ink to mark paid admissions. As the sun dipped, fairy lights blinked alive. A folk duo tuned guitars near the steps. Children sprawled on quilts, reading their new treasures under fading sky. Louis Woe insisted everyone call her by nickname after 6 p.m. Appeared beside Harvey holding 2 cups of cider. She passed one to him and clinked rims. To books, brownies, and bravery she toasted. "Bravery?" he echoed. Lucy smiled, showing up as an act of bravery. Her gaze lingered, searching, as though trying to parse a code in his pupils. He sipped cider, pulse skipping. 19. Halfway through the folk set, a hush rippled beneath the music whispers. Subtle pointing. Harvey's spine tingled in recognition. He turned. A sleek black sedan idled at the curb. From it emerged Randall Pierce, senior columnist for Business Chronicle, camera crew in tow. Pierce adjusted his designer scarf. Scanning the crowd with predator precision, he had written at least 3 profiles praising Harvey's fiscal genius and 2 criticizing his eccentric withdrawals from corporate duty. Harvey's chest tightened. He glanced at Lucy, who followed his gaze. "Trouble?" she asked. "An old acquaintance," Harvey muttered, "of the blood in the water variety." The twins, oblivious, continued stamping sunflower logos on wrists. Harvey weighed options: stay and risk exposure, or retreat and seem suspicious. He considered Silas, coal dust on his face, reading poetry unashamed. Running would dishonor that lineage. He inhaled, squared shoulders, and placed himself in Randall Pierce's path. "Harvey," Pierce exclaimed, eyes gleaming. "Fancy seeing you here." "Good evening, Randall." Harvey forced calm. "Enjoying the bake sale?" Pierce's camera operator adjusted focus. "Sources say Whitaker Industries is mulling a major acquisition. Yet here you are selling lemonade. Care to comment?" Lucy stepped beside Harvey. "No flower badge now, just steely resolve. This is a community event. Mr. Pierce, if you'd like lemonade, it's 50 cents. Otherwise, please respect our guests." Harvey's heart galloped. He'd never found the courage to speak so directly to the press without peer handlers. Lucy, armed only with conviction, had done it effortlessly. Pierce smirked. "Of course, public image matters." He pivoted toward the twins. "Cute kids, grandchildren." Harvey opened his mouth, protective instinct roaring, but Lucy slid forward, blocking the camera's view. "Interview's over," she said. Her voice held no malice, only unwavering certainty, like a librarian telling rowdy patrons to hush and meaning it. Pierce's smile faltered. "Let's go," he snapped to his crew. The sedan door slammed moments later, and the car melted into traffic. 20. The encounter lasted less than 2 minutes, yet Harvey felt winded as though he'd run miles uphill. Lucy touched his arm. "You all right?" He nodded, swallowing. "Thank you." "For what?" "For treating me like a man first, headline second." She held his gaze. "I always have." 21. The rest of the night blossomed unmarred. The fundraiser set a record, cover $4.00, plus Harvey's anonymous envelope slipped into the cash box containing a check with more zeros than the entire county library system's annual budget. He penned only 3 words on the memo line for new chapters. When the last cookie crumb was swept and string lights unplugged, Harvey walked Lucy to the bus stop while the twins helped fold chairs under volunteer supervision. The street was quiet, wind smelling of lilacs and distant barbecue smoke. Asphalt glittered with fallen fairy light reflections. Lucy hugged her tote, no crammed with leftover brownies, and looked up at Harvey. "Thank you for today," she said. "You and the girls turned work into joy." "It was you," he replied. "You make joy contagious." A bus rumbled toward them, headlights soft like yawned blessings. Lucy stepped forward, then paused. "Harvey, may I ask you something personal?" "Anything." "Why did that reporter think you belonged to his world?" Heartbeat thunder, street lamp halos wavered. He exhaled fog. "Because I do partly, but I'm learning I can belong to more than one world." She studied him, not pressing. He continued, voice barely above the engine hiss. "I have resources. Too many, maybe. Sometimes I hide them because they attract noise. Tonight, you helped me remember why I earned them: to build, to share, not to barricade." The bus door sighed open. Lucy boarded the first step, then turned. "Use them well, Harvey." "I intend to," he said, "starting with another ice cream adventure tomorrow. Will you join us?" She smiled, eyes bright behind glasses fogged by bus heater air. I'd like that. She found a seat, pressed a brownie bag to her chest, and as the bus rolled away raised 2 fingers in a peace sign. Harvey returned the gesture, an old hippie reflex from college days scarcely anyone knew he'd had. 22. He fetched the twins, who chattered about earnings and glittered galaxies. On the drive home, Margot fell asleep mid-sentence. Nora sang a song about worms with dreams larger than tunnels. Harvey's mind replayed Lucy's words, used them well. He resolved to do exactly that. 23. At home, after transferring sleeping children to beds, Harvey stepped onto the back porch. Star stared, curious and patient. He felt smaller than he had in decades, and inexplicably larger. Inside, his phone buzzed. Lucy had texted a sunflower emoji followed by 3 words, broken crayons color. He typed back, new crayons coming. Then thank you for seeing me. She replied, always did, always will. Harvey slipped the phone into his pocket and gazed skyward. Somewhere in the scattered glitter of constellations, he imagined a tiny beetle on a grand quest, digging tunnels of possibility beneath the earth, proving even the smallest shovel can change a landscape. He thought of Silas, of poetry read beside coal dust, of Lucy's steady voice, of twins who believed in dragon buses. 24 hours ago, he'd considered wealth his greatest shield. Tonight, he deemed it a toolbox. Behind him, the wind rustled through maple leaves, a whisper of pages turning. He was ready for Chapter 3. The end of Chapter 2. Chapter 3. Bus stop heartbeats. 1. Saturday dawned with the stubborn chill of early spring, the kind that hides in shadows long after the sun has technically reported for duty. Harvey Whittaker stood at the stove flipping blueberry pancakes shaped like continents while the twins bickered over a single red marker, their conversation ricocheting through the kitchen like a pinball. Margot, it's my turn. You hogged it yesterday. Both of you breathe, Harvey intervened, sliding a fricka, slightly lopsided, onto a plate. There's another red in the drawer. Nora rummaged until she found a stumpy crayon. She held it aloft like Excalibur reclaimed. Peace resumed. They were working on invitations for what the girls had dubbed the best picnic ever, an afternoon outing with Lucille. A checkered blanket and an irresponsible number of marshmallows. Harvey had suggested sandwiches and fruit. They counter-offered with s'mores and gummy bears. Negotiations were ongoing. He poured syrup, let it pool in the pancake lakes, and wondered how to phrase a text that wouldn't sound like a formal board memo. Would Lucy like to join us for a picnic today? Too stiff. Up for some blanket and blueberry chaos? Too cute. He settled on twins planning picnic. Can you escape the library today? He hit send and tried to ignore the flutter in his chest while butter sizzled. 2. Lucy replied in under a minute. Can at 2 p.m. Meet at Lakeside Park. Bus 17 drops me there. Perfect, he typed, adding a sunflower emoji because the twins had recently instructed him that emojis were love letters in miniature. A second message popped up. Bring nothing but yourselves. I have snacks and kite. Harvey smiled. A librarian with a kite was a walking children's book. 3. By 1:30 the sky had shrugged off its morning sulk and unfurled a blue so honest it made the maples blush. Harvey packed a cooler, strawberries, cheese cubes, and, conceding defeat, a bag of marshmallows the size of golf balls. The twins raced around the foyer like electrons, sun hats askew and sneakers mismatched. Seatbelts, he reminded, clipping Nora in place. Margot clicked her own buckle with exaggerated flair, then whispered, Grandpa, do you think Miss Lucy likes kites shaped like dragons? I can't imagine anyone disliking dragon kites, he said, easing the pickup onto the road. 4. Lakeside Park sprawled along a glimmering reservoir, its shores dotted with picnic tables and kayakers whose paddles caught sunlight like flashing semaphore. Harvey spotted Lucy waving from a bus shelter, denim overalls, olive green jacket, hair swept into a windswept ponytail. Beside her leaned a crawled-up nylon kite, its tail a rainbow of ribbon streamers. The pickup growled to a stop. The twins spilled out and barreled toward her. Lucy knelt, arms open. My favorite explorers, she greeted, receiving twin hugs that nearly toppled her. Harvey lifted the cooler. Lucy rose, brushing gravel from her knees. Need a hand? She asked. Got it, he said, though he'd have happily feigned weakness to prolong her nearness. They trekked to a grassy knoll overlooking the water. A weeping willow trailed emerald fronds like curtains inviting secrets. Under its shade they spread a blanket patterned with sunflowers, a detail not lost on Harvey. Lucy tugged plastic containers from her tote, cucumber sandwiches shaped like hearts. carrot sticks arranged into a smiley face, and a thermos labeled lemon laftia. Laftia? Harvey questioned. Lemon with a dash of lavender, she explained. Calms the nerves. Tickles the tongue. Sounds like a spa appointment for the esophagus, he murmured, earning her love, a sound warm enough to melt dew. 5. Lunch slid into story time. The twins demanded Lucy retell adventures underground. This time with Grandpa voicing the beetle. He attempted a baritone bug voice that devolved into coughing, which delighted the girls. Mid-laughter, Lucy reached over and patted his back. The brief contact sending a surprising charge through his ribcage, like defibrillator paddles for emotions he'd mothballed. After crumbs were licked from fingers, Lucy unfurled the dragon kite. Its scales shimmered emerald and gold, its eyes were circles of mischievous crimson. This dragon needs a name, Lucy declared. Fire Whiskers, Nora shouted. Sir Wiggleflame, Margot countered. They compromised on Wiggleflame Whiskers Tethai, Duke of Wind. Harvey held the spool while Lucy guided the twins, teaching them to let the breeze do the heavy lifting. The dragon lurched, stumbled, then leapt skyward, ribbon tail snapping like applause. 4 sets of eyes tracked it up, a zigzag of color against blue infinity. For several minutes they simply watched, silent except for the wind's low hymn. Harvey felt something inside him align, an invisible clock ticking back into the right hour. He glanced sideways. Lucy's profile was lit by sun, her lips parted in quiet wonder. He wanted to tell her that she herself was a kite, pulling him into brighter air. Instead he asked, "How's the grip?" and adjusted Margot's hands on the handle. 6. When arms tired and clouds began to gather, they reeled Wiggleflame Whiskers back to earth. The twins collapsed on the blanket, giggling at the static cling causing their hair to stand wild. Harvey packed crumbs while Lucy tucked the kite away. A low rumble rolled across the reservoir, thunder miles off yet hinting at mischief. Lucy checked her watch. Bus comes in 10, think we'll beat the rain. Harvey eyed the sky. Let's head over. They strolled toward the shelter, Harvey carrying the cooler, Lucy holding each twin's hand. Halfway there the girls began performing an impromptu march, shouting, left, 2, 3, marshmallow. With each stomp, Lucy matched their cadence. Harvey's laughter boomed, echoing off water. 7. At the bus stop, concrete benches bore the names of local donors etched in brass. Harvey felt a twinge seeing his own surname on one play. Had funded them years ago but never sat on one. The irony wasn't lost on him. They perched together, Nora in Lucy's lap, Margot leaning against Harvey's side. A gentle hush settled, broken only by distant geese and occasional tire swish from passing cars. Lucy traced circles on Nora's back. You two are Grandpa out yet? We never get tired, Nora declared, then yawned. Harvey met Lucy's eyes over the child's head. She lies with adorable confidence. Lucy smiled, then her expression softened into something quiet, contemplative. Thank you for today. I needed wind and dragon scales. So did I, he admitted. Lightning flickered in the far distance, a silent flash. Lucy glanced at the road. Still no bus. 8. From behind them came hurried footsteps, uneven, like someone fighting both gravity and urgency. Harvey turned. A teenage boy skidded to a stop outside the shelter, panting. He wore a faded high school hoodie and clutched a battered messenger bag. You have the time? He wheezed. 5:09, Harvey said. The boy cursed softly. Missed it. The bus? Lucy asked. He nodded, rubbing rain-speckled hair. Next one's an hour. Code'll kill me if I'm late again. Harvey studied him. Thin, anxious, shoes taped at the toes. The messenger bag's zipper looked broken. We can give you a ride, he offered before overthinking. The boy's head snapped up. For real? We're harmless, Lucy added. Serial readers, not serial killers. The boy smiled despite nerves. Name's DeAndre. Practice starts at 5:30 at Lincoln Field. That's on our way, Harvey lied smoothly. It wasn't, but the detour hardly mattered. 9. They piled into the pickup. DeAndre squeezed in the back between the twins. Knees knocking. He answered their barrage of questions with shy honesty. He played sax in jazz band. Not football. His favorite book was The Giver. Yes, he'd once eaten 7 slices of pizza in a single sitting. The twins were awestruck. Harvey listened, navigating potholes. Lucy turned halfway in her seat, fascinated. Do you like the library? She asked. Love it, DeAndre replied. Quietest place near my apartment. Sometimes I go just to think. Lucy's eyes sparkled. Have you joined the teen advisory board? DeAndre laughed. I didn't know that existed. It does, and you're already qualified. You love books. Come Tuesday at 4, free snacks. Decandra's posture lifted. as though somebody had secretly doubled the oxygen in the cab. 10. Lincoln Field appeared, a patchy football stadium backed by low bleachers. Thunder cracked closer now, sky bruising purple. DeAndre scrambled out, slinging his bag. "Thank you, mister," he began. "Harvey," he supplied. "Thanks, Harvey. And miss?" "Lucy." "Thanks, Lucy. I'll see you Tuesday." He sprinted toward the locker room door just as rain started to pepper the turf. Harvey pulled away, windshield wipers squeaking. "That was kind," Lucy said. "Just paying forward a bus fare." She rested a hand on his arm, a gesture so small yet so grounding he momentarily forgot the road. "You keep surprising me," she murmured. He wanted to answer likewise, but headlights exploded in the side mirror. A sedan roared up, swerving too close. Harvey gripped the wheel, heart leaping. The car lingered, a camera lens visible through backseat glass, a paparazzi stalk, unmistakable. Lucy noticed. "Someone you know?" "Not exactly friends." He accelerated, but the sedan matched speed. A flash photo taken, another. "Grandpa," Margot's voice trembled. "It's okay," he soothed. But it wasn't. The mask he'd worn was peeling under strobe lights. 11. He made quick calculations. Route 12 veered into a residential maze, tight turns. Dead ends, good for shaking tails, bad for scaring children. He chose steady dignity, slowed, and allowed the sedan to pull alongside at the next light. The window rolled down, not Randall Pierce this time, but a younger gun female. Early 20s, phone aimed like a weapon. "Mr. Whitaker, comment on rumors you're selling Sterling Robotics." Harvey kept eyes forward. The light dragged. Rain thrummed on the roof. Lucy spoke loud enough for the reporter to hear. "There are children in this vehicle. Kindly respect their privacy." Click flash. The light turned green. Harvey accelerated, heart pounding. The sedan sped off, satisfied. Nora whimpered, "Why they take pictures, Grandpa?" He searched for truth that wouldn't frighten. Sometimes grown-ups forget manners when they want a story. Lucy twisted to the back seat. "You two okay?" Margot nodded, eyes wide. Nora sniffled but squeezed Lucy's hand. 12. They reached Lucy's apartment building, a brick structure over daisy-chain florist. Minutes later, rain had become earnest, drumming tambourine on awnings. Harvey parked at the curb. Lucy unbuckled, then paused, turning to him. "Walk me to the door. Umbrellas in my tote." "Of course." He popped open a neon yellow umbrella discovered under the seat, likely a forgotten prize from a corporate golf tournament. The twins remained in the cab, pressed faces to windows. Lucy and Harvey dashed through puddles, laughter spilling despite adrenaline. At the stoop she dug for keys. "Reporters didn't faze you," Harvey observed, voice low. "They fazed me," she confessed, eyes meeting his beneath umbrella brim. "I just care more about two little girls feeling safe." Something inside him unfurled, a banner reading, "You are not alone." "I owe you explanations," he began. She shook her head gently. "You owe me honesty when you're ready, not on a rainy curb." He inhaled storm-soaked air smelling of lilac soap, her soap. "May I call tomorrow?" "Please do." She rose on tiptoe, brushed a kiss, feather light, against his cheek. Heat radiated outward like ripples. "Tell the twins I'll practice kite maneuvers for next time." He nodded, suddenly speechless. She slipped inside. The door clicked. He remained a second longer, inventorying the heartbeat in his ears, then hurried to the truck. 13. The twins peppered him with questions on the drive home. He answered what he could, deflected others. By bedtime they seemed mollified, though he suspected dreams would revisit flashing lights. After tucking them in, Harvey retreated to his office. Rain rattled windows like impatient fingers. He powered up his laptop. The screen glowed with news alerts: small-town sighting, billionaire Harvey Whitaker picnics with mystery woman and kids. Another headline suggested he'd found secret grandchildren from a hidden marriage. Comments flooded: gossip, envy, speculation. Harvey closed the browser, stomach sour. His private joy had become public currency overnight. 14. He dialed his longtime public relations chief, Vaughn. It rang twice before voicemail. Good. He didn't want corporate triage tonight. He left a concise message: no statements, no comment, let it burn out. Then he brewed coffee, though it was nearly midnight, and opened the ledger. Under last entry he wrote, "Media sniffing, protect Lucy girls. Tell truth soon. Remember Silas, protect the candle, not the wind." He closed the book, rubbed his temples. Outside, thunder rolled away, leaving only the drip of eaves, a percussion of aftermath. 15. Across town, Lucy lay awake, listening to the same storm fade. The kiss's echo tingled on her lips. She should feel anxious chimeras. Billionaire revelations, unknown fallout. Instead, an odd calm settled. She trusted him. Or at least the him who had rescued a sax-playing teenager and laughed at dragging kites. Still, dawn would bring questions. She rolled over, stared at the refrigerator where the twins' drawings glowed faintly in night light spill. Crayon lines of trust. She traced the air over them, whispered a promise will keep coloring. 16. Sunday dawned slate gray but dry. Harvey served cereal, no pancakes today, and announced a low-key morning. The twins detected seriousness, subdued their chatter. While they played Legos, Harvey called Lucy. She answered on the second ring. Voice soft as flannel. Reporters outside? He asked. Just one tabby cat on the fire escape, she replied, lifting tension. He chuckled, then sobered. Would you join me for lunch at the cottage? Just us adults. Mrs. Stenton can mind the girls. I'll be there, she said. 17. The cottage sat 30 minutes out, tucked among pines. It had once belonged to Harvey's mother. Then sat mostly the kid. Too many memories, not enough time. He arrived early. Opened windows, let fur-scented air sweep out stale hush. He turned on a space heater. Wiped dust from a photograph on the mantel, his late daughter. Daphne holding newborn twins, joy unfiltered. A knock. He opened the door. Lucy stood in a teal raincoat. Hair damp from drizzle that had resumed. In her arms, a pie tin wrapped in towel. Peach blackberry, she said, best served with confessions. He managed a smile. Then we'll need spoons. 18. They sat at the small kitchen table, knotty pine scarred by decades of elbows and homework mishaps. Harvey poured coffee. Lucy declined sugar, preferring bitterness honest. Where do you want to start? She asked. The beginning's messy, he sighed. Messy stories are my specialty. He inhaled. My daughter and son-in-law died in a car accident 4 years ago. The girls were 2. I stepped back from day-to-day corporate duties to raise them. Headlines said I'd gone eccentric, unreliable. I let them say it. Money never needed defending. Lucy's eyes shimmered with empathy, but she didn't interrupt. I built walls, security teams, anonymity, but walls also keep out light. I'd forgotten that until a librarian paid for dinner. Her lips curved, sad and soft. And now the light attracts moths with cameras. Yes, he whispered. I'm sorry. For what? For dragging you into chaos. Lucy set her mug down deliberately. You didn't drag me anywhere. I walked in late, remember? And decided to stay. He exhaled, pressure easing like lungs after tight bandages removed. Tell me what you need, she said. Patience. And maybe advice on how to explain to 2 6-year-olds why strangers care about their picnic. Stories, she answered immediately. Children understand stories. Tell them the truth in chapters. Chapter 1, Grandpa helps many people, so some folks are curious. Chapter 2, Curiosity isn't always polite. Chapter 3, Our family's love is a shield. He blinked, gratitude filling cracks he didn't know existed. Will you help me tell it? She reached across the pine table, took his hand. Always. 19. They ate pie straight from the tin, laughter mingling with cinnamon steam. Harvey confessed his fear, closing someone again. Lucy confessed hers, busy needed then discarded when shine fades. They traded vulnerabilities like children swapping stickers, surprised at how easily each found a place to stick. When afternoon light slanted ruby through curtains, Lucy rose. I should get back. Cat might stage mutiny. He walked her to the porch. Rain had stopped, needles of wet pine glistened. She stepped onto the gravel path, then turned. Harvey, headlines will spin but truth walks. Let's keep walking. He nodded. She kissed his cheek again, longer this time, then headed to the bus stop at the main road. He watched until her raincoat became a teal dot between trees. 20. Inside he found the courage to call Vaughn back. Issue a brief statement tomorrow, Mr. Whitaker was enjoying private time with family and friends. No further comment. Vaughn cleared his throat. And the woman is a private citizen. Respect that. Silence, then understood. Harvey added, any publication that publishes the girls' faces loses ad placements from every Whitaker subsidiary for a year. Make that clear. On it. He hung up, surprised by his own ferocity. Love sharpened edges he hadn't used in years. 21. Monday morning he walked the twins to school instead of sending them on the bus. Reporters lurked across the street. One raised a camera but lowered it under Harvey's steely gaze. He delivered the girls to Ms. Ramirez, their teacher, who promised extra vigilance. At noon he and Lucy met outside the library with DeAndre and 2 other teens to discuss the advisory board. They brainstormed reading games and planned a graphic novel night. Harvey mostly listened, heart swelling at Lucy's effortless mentorship. Cameras were absent, news cycle already drifting. Small victories, he mused. 22. That evening, after dinner, the twins asked for Chapter 2 of Grandpa's story. Louis suggested framing. He told them about curious grown-ups, about how sometimes people forget to be gentle. Nora asked if the reporters were like the big bad wolf. Margot proposed they were more like crows, Cloud, shinny-thing lovers. Harvey agreed and promised the crows couldn't get inside their cozy house. The girls accepted this, then returned to building Lego towers taller than their fears. 23. Later, Harvey sat on the porch swing, ledger open on his lap. He wrote, "Build taller towers than fear. Keep walking with truth. Kite Day Part 2 soon." He added a final note. Bus stop heartbeats where old walls cracked and new chapters began. He closed the book and looked at the stars carving stories across black canvas. Somewhere, Wiggleflame Whiskers Tefishu waited folded in a tote, dreaming of higher altitudes. And Harvey Whittaker, once king of closed doors, realized the best heartbeat he'd heard in years was the double rhythm of rain against an umbrella while a woman named Lucy said, "You keep surprising me." He planned to keep doing exactly that. End of Chapter 3. Chapter 4 Headlines and Heartache. 1. Tuesday slid into Wednesday on wheels of routine school drop-offs, staff meetings, grocery lists. Yet beneath the surface of Willow Creek, rumors rippled like under-river currents, seen only when they slapped against the bank. Harvey first felt the undertow at 9:15 Wednesday morning. He was mid-sip on a lukewarm cappuccino when Marlene, his assistant, burst into the corner office clutching an iPad. "Sir, you need to see this." Harvey muted the conference line, 7 board members discussing quarterly synergies, and accepted the tablet. A headline blared in 50-point font. Billionaire's secret life, granddaughters, small-town librarian, and a cozy cottage hideaway. Below, a photo Harvey on the cottage porch, Lucy beside him holding blackberry pie. Twins playing hopscotch under a pine. A telephoto shot, grainy but unmistakable. The article gushed gossip. Whittaker empire in jeopardy, stakeholders blindsided. Who is the mystery woman shaping the magnate's future? Harvey's stomach hollowed. How long has it been up? 40 minutes. Already trending regionally. Marlon's eyes softened. They named the girls. Harvey, full names. He handed back the iPad as though it burned. Coordinate with legal. Demand takedown of minors' information. Any outlet that refuses loses Whittaker ad spend, effective immediately. Yes, sir, she hurried out. On the muted screen, a VP droned about cost efficiencies. Harvey closed the laptop, stood, rolled his shoulders. A chess clock in his head clicked every second he waited. A new site would copy-paste that headline. He needed to reach Lucy before she learned from strangers. 2. Lucy found out 3 minutes later, courtesy of a breathless volunteer bursting into the storytime corner with a smartphone. "Miss Lucy, you're famous." Lucy paused mid-sentence. Carther the aardvark had just discovered a purple sock and accepted the phone. Her own face stared back, ringed by lurid text. The children giggled, unaware. Lucy's pulse slammed. She forced a smile, finished the page, closed the book, and sang the goodbye song with automatic cheer. Parents clapped, toddlers toddled away clutching coloring sheets. When the last stroller rolled out, Lucy collapsed into the armchair. Phone shaking in her grip, she scrawled article after article, each more intrusive. One blogger claimed she was pregnant, another labeled her a gold-digging cougar. Comment sections frothed. Her throat constricted. She texted Harvey, "Saw the news. I'm okay, sort of. Call after work." She added a sunflower so he'd know panic hadn't swallowed her entirely. 3. Lunchtime, library staff room. Fluorescent lights buzzed, refrigerator hummed, but conversation hushed when Lucy entered. Colleagues avoided her eyes, whispers skittering like mice. She microwaved soup she suddenly couldn't stomach. Halfway through, Mr. Benton, brand director, bow ties for every day of the launch, cleared his throat. "Lucy, could we chat in my office?" Her spoon linked against the mug, of course. 4. His office smelled of old leather and lavender furniture polish. He shut the door, perched on the edge of his chair. "I'm deeply sorry," he began, gaze kind yet uneasy. "The county commissioner phoned. She's been fielding concerned citizen calls questioning the library's neutrality. If you're involved with high-profile business interests." Lucy's jaw tightened. "I read storybooks. How is that political?" Benton removed glasses, cleaned them with a handkerchief. "It isn't, but perception drives funding. Our annual grant hearing is next month. The board requested you take an unpaid leave until publicity cools." A rushing noise filled Lucy's ears, as though wind tunneled through halls. How long is until? They didn't specify. I love this job, Benson. Only her mother still called him Harold. Everyone else used last name informality. The kids. I know, he set a hand atop hers. This is politics. Not merit. I'll advocate, but he didn't finish. He didn't need to. Lucy stood spine straight despite tremors. I'll gather my things. 5. She packed slowly, mug printed with Keep Calm read on. Sunflower magnets, a desk drawer of origami animals children gifted. Each item felt heavier than physics allowed. As she zipped her tote, DeAndre poked his head in. Miss Lucy? She mustered a smile. Hey, Saxman. Rumors say you're leaving. The team board meets today. You can't bail on us. His voice wrecked, still perched between boy and man. Lucy inhaled. Meeting's still on. 4 p.m. sharp. Library or no library. We'll find a room. DeAndre grinned, relief flooding features. Yes, ma'am. He vanished. Lucy exhaled, shoulders sagging, but purpose sparked again. She would not abandon them. 6. Across town, Harvey finished calls with lawyers, publicists, security consultants. Damage control spun like propellers, yet nothing quieted the dread that Lucy was paying a price for his secrecy. His phone buzzed, voicemail from the school principal. Reporters had loitered outside the playground fence. Twins were safe inside but distressed. Could arrangements be made for discreet pickup? Harvey's protective instinct roared. He canceled afternoon meetings, grabbed keys, texted Marlene, clear my schedule. Then he called Lucy. She answered on the first ring. Her voice sounded strained but steady. Are you all right? He asked. I will be. They asked me to take leave. Silence ballooned. I'm so sorry, he breathed. It's not your apology to make. But my name triggered it. Names don't fire people, Harvey feared as she sighed. Pick up the girls. I'll handle the teens. Then we'll regroup. His chest tightened at her resilience. I'll make this right. She didn't say you don't have to or you can't, she said. We'll figure it out, together. The call ended, but her steadiness lingered like a hand on his back, guiding him forward. 7. 3 p.m. Oaks Elementary. A discreet security guard, Whitaker staffer rooted from corporate, she stood by the office door. Harvey signed out the twins, who clutched backpacks in worry. Are the Crow people gone? Nora whispered. Gone, Harvey assured, though a photographer still loitered by the far hedges. He buckled them into the SUV, swapped the pickup for a less conspicuous special, and started home. Margot stared out the window. Everyone in class saw pictures on their parents' phones, she murmured. Harvey's hands tightened on the wheel. What did they say? That you're a king of money and Miss Lucy is our secret step-grandma. Nora added, Tommy said if you're so rich, why don't we ride limousines? Harvey huffed. Limousines are uncomfortable, not enough legroom. The twins giggled, tension easing. Harvey caught their eyes in the mirror. Home is wherever we park our hearts. Remember that. They nodded solemnly as though he'd recited an oath. 8. 4 p.m. Teen Advisory Board relocated to Daisy Chain Florist's storage room. Counter misses. Diaz had set up folding chairs amid buckets of carnations. The air smelled of soil and sugar snap stems. Lucy sat at the makeshift head of the Earl. 5 teens, including DeAndre, shuffled in. She addressed the elephant first. You might have seen headlines. I'm taking a break from the library. But stories don't live in buildings, they live in us. So, our mission continues, boosting youth literacy. Ideas. Hands rose, shyness forgotten. They proposed pop-up reading corners at basketball courts, recording an audiobook in multiple languages, hosting a Call Me Rishan workshop. Lucy took notes, energy brewing. The teens left smiling, armed with assignments and leftover carnations. When the last teen filed out, Mrs. Diaz approached. Keep using the room as long as you need, she said. Flowers like stories, they soak up the talk. Lucy's throat ached. Thank you. 9. Meanwhile, at Willow Creek Manor, Harvey served the twins grilled cheese stars and tomato soup moons. While they ate, he drafted an email to the county library board, offering an unrestricted gift large enough to cover annual operating costs times 10. Contingent on Lucy Quinn's immediate reinstatement, he signed only a patron who knows the value of good librarians. He hesitated, then added a piece broken crayon, still color best when guided by patient hands. He hit send. 5 minutes later, an auto-reply meeting set for 9 a.m. Tomorrow, he exhaled, unsure if relief or anticipation. 10. After bedtime, Harvey sat on the porch swing, phone in hand. He scrolled through hashtags, library love, Whitaker secrets, Amid poison, pockets of defense-bloomed parents praising Lucy, teens posting selfies with our librarian rock signs. He screenshot each positive post, saving them like fireflies in a jar. Then he typed a public tweet from his seldom-used personal account. Today reminded me that stories wield power powerful enough to shake empires. Let's write the next chapter kindly. Protect librarians, protect children, protect wonder. 3 sentences, no clarification. His digital footprint exploded. 11. Thursday, county seat. The boardroom smelled of polyester suits and percolator coffee. 9 trustees eyed Harvey as he entered, briefcase in hand. They expected a billionaire. He wore jeans and carried the girl's crayon drawing of Louis the Daisies and speech bubble. He placed the drawing on the long mahogany table. My granddaughters made this the night Lucy Quinn paid for our dinner when I'd forgotten my wallet. A half-truth, but simplicity served. Gasps fluttered. She didn't know my name, only that children deserved kindness, he continued. If this board values literacy, kindness, and steady leadership, reinstate her. My pledge stands regardless, but my respect for this institution does not. He slid an envelope across the table. It bore no logo, only wax sealed with a sunflower stamp Lucy had once given the twins. Inside a check, an amount that would float not just Willow Creek Branch but 3 neighboring counties. Silence. Then trustee Mrs. Patel cleared her throat. A motion to rescind Ms. Quinn's leave. All in favor? Hand shot up unanimous. Harvey nodded, collected the drawing and left before relief betrayed tears. 12. Outside, morning sun spilled like forgiveness. He dialed Lucy, she answered breathless. Good news, he said. I know, she laughed, voice dancing. Trustees just called. I'm back Monday. He smiled. Seems someone argued your case effectively. She paused, reading subtext. Thank you, but please tell me you didn't break the bank. It's not broken, it's finally open. 13. Friday evening, Lucy arrived at the cottage carrying a single sunflower and a box of cardboard shields. DIY project for the twins' guarding hearts, she'd said. They sat on the porch swing, knees touching. The twins chased fireflies with jars. Squeals peppering dusk. Lucy turned to Harvey. I was scared, she confessed. Not of losing the job, of losing this. She gestured at the girls, the porch, the intangible orb of together. You didn't, he said, voice rough. She traced a finger along his knuckles. I realized headlines can't hold heartbeats. Harvey, we can still hear them, even when the world shouts. He swallowed. Mine's loud around you. They leaned in, no thunder, no cameras, only the soft click of jars sealing fireflies. Their lips met, gentle, certain, distantly. Nora squealed. They're kissing. Margot giggled so hard she dropped her jar. Glass shattered, bugs flew free, laughter chasing them. Lucy and Harvey broke apart, startled, then laughed too. Fireflies rose. Blinking Morse code, hope still lives here. 14. Later, with twins tucked in attic bunks, they sipped cocoa in the kitchen. Lucy opened her tote, extracted a newspaper clipping. Harvey's tweet printed beneath a headline, Billionaire takes stand for librarians. I framed it, she said, to remind us words matter. He set it on the windowsill beside Celeste's coal dust photo, generations shaking sooty hands, promising better tomorrows. Harvey raised his mug to the chapter where heartbeats drown headlines. Lucy linked hers, and to broken crayons coloring entire galaxies. Outside, Pineside. Inside, 2 cups cooled, 2 lives warmed, and the next page waited, blank, expectant, ready for ink bold enough to outshine gossip. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. The Doorstep Drawing. 1. Sunday rolled in on the wheels of a soft May breeze. Fluttering curtains at the cottage like shy hands waving good morning. Harvey rose early, brewed coffee, and tiptoed past the twins' room. Nora and Margot lay sprawled in a tangle of quilts, cheeks rosy with the deep sleep that only children in house seats ever truly master. Downstairs he opened the front door. Smoke blue mist still hovered over the pines. Jeweled every blade of grass. He breathed in damp earth and distant lilac. Then out a week's worth of tension. Headlines were dying down. Lucy was returning to the library tomorrow, and the girls had stopped checking windows for crow people. Peace, he thought, upping the mug. Let's keep it. His phone buzzed. Louis. A selfie filled the screen. She held 2 giant library keys like swords. Grin bright enough to blind shadows. Caption, back at my castle tomorrow. Got my armor ready. Harvey chuckled, thumbed a heart, and replied with a picture of freshly brewed coffee and the words, your royal guard salutes you. A sunflower emoji. Their quiet code followed. 2. By 9 o'clock the twins thundered downstairs. Nora wore her pajama top inside out. Margot's hair pointed in 7 directions. They made cereal while Harvey flipped Sunday pancakes, extra blueberries. Per Lucy's suggestion that antioxidants were basically superhero capes for organs. Between sticky bites the girls announced a project idea. Miss Lucy needs a welcome back present. Didn't we just give her a carnation crown? Harvey asked. That was for not quitting, Nora corrected. This is for being brave, different. Margot nodded sagely. We need supplies. Such as? Big paper, Nora said. Big heart, Margot added. And crayons. We have crates of crayons, Harvey reminded. Broken ones work best, Nora proclaimed, echoing Lucy's mantra. Harvey raised both palms. Then the art studio awaits. In other households. The studio might be a spare bedroom. Here it was the dining room floor. Permanently protected by a worn plastic sheet and scattered with markers, glue sticks and googly eyes. 3. They spent the morning sprawled like starfish. Harvey cut butcher paper into a rectangle nearly as tall as the twins. Nora sketched Lucy's face, large glasses, sunflower earrings, and a cape made of library cards. Margot added herself and Nora riding dragon kite wiggle flame whiskers hatching around Lucy's head like a halo. Harvey labeled everything in bubble letters, welcome back, Miss Lucy, and lower down, family is more than headlines. When they'd finished, Margot held the poster up. It bent awkwardly. We need a board, she declared. So Harvey rummaged in the garage for a piece of lightweight plywood and thumbtacked the paper to it. The result resembled a primary-colored billboard. How do we give it to her? Nora asked. Harvey considered. Lucy had church choir rehearsal at 2. The girls could place it against her apartment door after lunchtime. Ring the bell and hide like stealth kindness ninjas. They squealed approval. 4. Just after 1, they set out. No reporters trailed. Harvey's legal threats had worked. Still, he parked 2 streets over. Each twin gripped one side of the board, shuffling like penguin movers. Harvey carried duct tape and a bouquet of daisies he'd picked from the cottage path. Lucy's building sat quiet, bricks warming under midday sun. The florist downstairs hummed with business. The scent of roses rode the air conditioner draft out the open door. Harvey pressed a finger to his lips, stealth mode. The trio crept upstairs. Apartment 3. The old wood door bore faint scratches from years of glory bag bumps. Beside the peephole still hung the twins' original drawing, We Miss You. Miss Louie Edge's curling colors faded but stubborn. Margot whispered, We'll put new one underneath. They propped the large board carefully, then taped it at the top so it wouldn't slip. Nora extracted a neon pink marker from her pocket. Need signature, she insisted. Harvey crouched and wrote in small letters, Nora, Margot, Grandpa H. +3 sunflowers. He tapped the bell, and the 3 darted across the hall behind a potted vase hardly big enough for 1 child. Let alone 3 conspirators. They giggled into their elbows. Footsteps. The deadbolt turned. The door opened a crack. 5. But it wasn't Lucy. A gray-haired woman in house slippers glared out. Mrs. Callahan, the downstairs neighbor, known for feeding stray cats and scolding skateboarders. Oh dear, she muttered at the poster. Another one. She glanced up the hall, eyes landing on Phaeus leaves quivering over 2 sets of pigtails. Girls, she said, voice softer than Harvey expected. You should take that down. The twins stepped out, crestfallen. Harvey followed. Is Lucy not home? He asked. Mrs. Callahan sighed. She packed a suitcase this morning and left with a taxi. Said she needed space from the circus. Harvey's stomach clenched. Did she say where? Only someplace quiet. Mrs. Callahan touched the new poster, sadness pinching her face. She'll love this. I'll make sure she sees it when she returns. The twins exchanged alarmed looks. Did we scare her away? Nora whispered. Tears bubbled. Harvey knelt. No, starling. Adults sometimes take breaks to find calm. Let's trust she'll call soon. His reassurance felt thin even to him. He thanked Mrs. Callahan and shepherded the girls downstairs. Each step echoed worry. 6. Inside the pickup, silence. Nora traced fog patterns on the window even though the air conditioning chilled glass. Margot hugged Bun Bun, the stuffed rabbit now missing 2 ears. Harvey buckled in, then turned off the ignition. Lucy isn't running from us. He began carefully, but the noise can be loud. We can help her, Margot said. We can be quiet with her. Harvey touched her cheek. Yes, when we find her. He started the engine. But halfway down the street he spotted a parking ticket on Lucy's usual spot, her old Honda Civic. Still there, she hadn't driven far. An idea struck Ms. Diaz. If anyone knew Lucy's hiding place, it would be the florist. 7. They parked again. The bell above Daisy chain jingled as they entered. Buckets of tulips lined cooler doors. Scent of eucalyptus filled the air. Ms. Diaz looked up from tying a ribbon around bridal roses. Well, if it isn't my lemonade titans, she smiled, then frowned at their expressions. What's wrong? Harvey explained quietly. Ms. Diaz nodded, eyes warm. She called me this morning. Booked the old Hillcrest cabin for a week. Wants to finish reading some dusty biography and disconnect her phone. She handed Harvey a business card. Caretaker's number. He'll pass a message. Where's Hillcrest? Nora asked. Up by the state forest, only 20 minutes. Ms. Diaz winked. Plenty of quiet. Plenty of birds. Outside, Harvey debated. He didn't want to break Lucy's solitude, yet the twins' faces shimmered with worry. Maybe a gentle doorstep gesture would soothe all hearts. He crouched. We can drop off our gift there, no knocking. Just leave it like secret agents and head home. The twins lit up. Yes. 8. Hillcrest sat off a gravel road flanked by sugar maples and stone walls spotted with moss. The cabin itself, cedar siding, green tin roof, looked like a postcard captioned "Retreat here." Smoke curled from the chimney. An elderly Labrador snoozed on the porch. Harvey parked well back. No noise, he whispered. They tiptoed along the path. Birdsong stitched the air, pine needles muffled footfalls. A rocking chair creaked. The caretaker, no Louis. She wore denim cutoffs, flannel overshirt, hair in a messy knot. Barefoot, legs tucked under, a mug steamed in her hands. She gazed into trees, oblivious. Harvey froze. He hadn't intended to see her. The twins clung to his legs. He raised a finger, quiet. Slowly he propped the poster against the porch rail, beneath her line of sight. A gust lifted its corner the duct tape held. He set the daisies beside it, then gestured retreat. They turned. Crunch! Margot stepped on a brittle twig. The Labrador's ears perked, it woofed. Lucy looked up, eyes widened. Grandpa, girls, she stood, mug sloshing. Harvey considered fleeing, but the twins dashed forward, worry outrunning caution. We brought you a picture, Nora called. Lucy met them halfway, kneeling. My brave creators. She hugged them tight, relieved, and kissed their foreheads. Tears filmed her glasses. Harvey approached, hat literally in hand, a courtesy he'd adopted from long-gone coal miners. Lucy looked up. I needed quiet, I should have said. Her voice shook. We understand, he said gently. We wanted you to know we're with you, even in quiet. She reached for his hand, squeezed. Thank you. She noticed the poster. Laughed through tears. Is that me in a cape of overdue notices? Library cards, Nora corrected. Even better. Lucy stood, composing herself. Come see the inside. Just for Coco. Then you can leave me to hermit in peace. Her smile pleaded, don't disappear again. Harvey glanced at the twins. They nodded vigorously. 9. The cabin interior smelled of cedar smoke and vanilla candle, quilt-draped couches. Books stacked on every flat surface, field guides, poetry, the promised dusty biography Rachel Carson. A kettle whistled faintly on the stove. Hope you like peppermint, Lucy said. It's all the caretaker stocks. Peppermint fuels adventurers, Margot declared. Lucy poured cocoa for the twins, mint tea for adults. They sat around a weathered coffee table scarred with initials LE scratched 20 years ago by honeymooners. Harvey studied Lucy's face, tired crescents under eyes, but color back in cheeks. I felt guilty, she confessed. All those headlines about me, and I'm nobody important. You're important to us, Nora stated. Margot echoed, big important. Lucy's eyes flooded. And that is enough, she whispered. 10. Harvey set down his mug. Lucy, the board reversed their decision. You're reinstated. She nodded. Mrs. Patel called. I cried into my oatmeal, she exhaled. But I'm still frightened. The press could flare again. I saw a van on the highway following me. Harvey leaned in. I've arranged discreet security. They'll keep distance unless needed. And I'm moving you to safer housing. Something with gated access. Still close to town. Lucy's brows knit. I don't want gilded cages, Harvey. Not a nest, he said softly. When you choose. He opened his palm to reveal a keyring, 2 small brass keys shaped like sunflowers. The cottage guest house. It's separate from the main house. You'll have privacy. Garden bed, stargazing deck. Lucy touched the keys, lips trembling. I can't impose. You'd be sanctuary, not imposition. The twins began chanting, move next door, banging cocoa mugs like gongs. Lucy laughed, tears slipping. Okay. Let me finish this week at the cabin. Clear my head, then we'll talk logistics. Harvey nodded, relief bright as dawn. 11. They spent an hour reading by the hearth. Harvey voiced a moose exploring moonlit meadows. Lucy narrated a robin's journey. The twins dozed between them, heads on laps like mismatched kittens. When gray clouds dimmed windows, Harvey lifted each girl gently and motioned goodbye. We'll let you rest. He placed a folded note on the mantel. Your light outshines any headline. Yh. Lucy walked them to the truck. She knelt, kissed each twin's hair, and pressed into their pockets a polished gray pebble found on the path. Shaped like a heart. Carry these when you miss me, she whispered. As Harvey opened the driver door, Lucy tugged his sleeves. Stay a minute. He told the twins to wait, returned to her at the porch. The Labrador snored under the rocker. Thank you, she said, for giving me space, then filling it with love. He upped her cheek. Take all the space you need. We'll always draw the door. They kissed softly, an unhurried promise, then parted. He drove away, watching her shrink in the mirror, framed by maples and that colossal poster, which fluttered like a flag of reunion. 12. Back home, dusk pooled violet. The twins bounded inside, announcing, Lucy safe. Mrs. Denham, housekeeper, smiled knowingly. Harvey retreated to his study, opened the ledger. New entry. Doorstep drawing, love without knocking. Plan convert guest house before week's end. Fresh paint, new locks, reading nook. Security detail, rotating shifts invisible. Press strategy, redirect headlines to literacy program launch. He closed the book, feeling purposeful. Outside, frogs tennis matched croaks across the pond. 13. At Hillcrest, Lucy pinned the poster inside above the stone fireplace. The cabin shrank beneath its colors. She brewed more tea, sat cross-legged, and reread Harvey's mantel note until words blurred. She pictured Sunflower Key guest house. Twins knocking with cookies, evenings reading under string lights. Fear still hovered, but hope now outshone it, large as that poster, loud as children's giggles. Family is more than headlines, she whispered. Amen to that. The Labrador thumped its tail, as if agreeing. 14. Monday morning, dawn copper pink. Lucy returned to Willow Creek Branch before opening time. Mr. Benton greeted her with a bow and a bakery box. Inside, croissants shaped like books, staff wore custom pins reading Welcome Home, Captain Lucy. Patrons poured in with hugs, flowers, handwritten affirmations. Reporters were absent. Perhaps bored, or perhaps kindness doesn't sell its space. At 10:30 a courier delivered a wooden crate. She opened it to find brand new picture books. Spines gleaming, each stamp donated by the Whitaker twins. A note for tiny hearts ready to soar. Love, Nora, Margot, and Grandpa Chief Box Lifter. Lucy pressed a book to her chest. The library smelled of pages turning off future. 15. That evening she texted Harvey, cabin closing party Friday, marshmallows required. He replied in seconds, wiggle flame whiskers, Hathefu will attend, we'll bring the sky. A sunflower emoji punctuated the promise. Lucy set the phone down, looked at the restored order of her desk, the poster from the twins now framed on the office wall, and allowed tears, joy this time, to fall freely. 16. Friday arrived bright as penny candy. The family drove to the cabin with picnic baskets and the dragon kite. They roasted marshmallows, launched wiggle flame whiskers into amber sky, and celebrated new chapters. As dusk claimed the pines, the twins produced 2 envelopes, each containing a hand-drawn lease. Will you be our neighbor? Yes, no. Lucy checked yes twice. Harvey handed her the sunflower keys. She slid them on a chain, kissed each twin, then Harvey, this time without giggles from Peanut Gallery. The girls simply sighed contentedly, as if witnessing the rightful order of things. 17. The truck caravanced home in twilight. Lucy followed in her Civic. Poster rolled in the back seat. Labrador riding shotgun, caretaker said the dog chose her. When they reached the cottage's guest house, string lights already glowed. Mrs. Denham had stocked the pantry with tea. A hotboard on the door read Lucy's Nest Stories hatch here. Lucy unlocked the door, stepped inside, and knew she was exactly where she belonged, not because the place was safe from noise, but because the people nearby were louder than fear. 18. Later, Harvey sat at his desk. He wrote one last ledger line before sleep. Doorstep drawing became doorway home. He set down the pen, closed the book, and listened to night sounds mingling, wind and pines. Distant laughter from the guest house, the soft sigh of a world finally tilting toward right. And in Lucy's window, the poster glowed under lamplight, a vibrant reminder that broken crayons wielded by little hands, can redraw life if you're brave enough to ring the bell and wait. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6 Story Caravan 1. June's first Monday morning opened like a fan of sun rays, each spoke gilding the newly mowed fields around Willow Creek Elementary. Harvey Whitaker stood on the blacktop beside a 25-year-old school bus that had once been mustard yellow but was now, thanks to 12 volunteers, 18 teens, and 2 determined 6-year-olds, a kaleidoscope of color. Waves of turquoise met splashes of coral. A cartoon owl winked from the hood. The words Story Caravan wrapped the sides in giant bubble letters that looked as if they'd been blown by bubblegum. Lucy hopped down the bus steps, paint still flecking her forearms despite 3 showers. She wore denim overalls and a straw hat pinned with a sunflower. Behind her, DeAndre fiddled with a portable PA system, testing a short jazz riff that echoed over the parking lot. Harvey checked his watch, 8:04 a.m. Kids would spill out for recess in 20 minutes. The plan was simple: park, open the side doors, and invite young adventurers into a rolling library stocked with everything from picture books to graphic novels. Hot chocolate for winter runs, frozen lemonade for summer, and always, story time under a canopy of string lights. Simple, he thought, except no such program had ever existed within 60 miles. And the county's risk assessment committee had nearly passed out reviewing the insurance forms. But Lucy's vision was stubborn, Harvey's wallet was stubborn, and the twins' excitement was downright immovable. 2. The idea had sprouted 3 weeks earlier on Lucy's newly rebuilt porch. Hot evening, jar of fireflies hanging like a lantern. DeAndre had confessed how few safe, quiet spaces existed in his neighborhood. Library closes at 6, he'd said. And by 7 the basketball court floods with arguments louder than my sax. Lucy listened, eyes reflective. Then we bring the books to the kids. Harvey asked how. Wheels, she answered as if wheels solved everything. He laughed, then looked at her, really looked, and realized wheels might indeed solve more than spreadsheets ever could. Within days he bought a decommissioned bus from a farmer 2 counties over. Volunteers stripped seats, built shelves, installed beanbags, and a fold-out stage no bigger than a coffee table but perfect for puppets. Mrs. Diaz donated floral curtains. The twins voted for an onboard treasure chest filled with stickers and temporary tattoos. DeAndre pitched the name Story Caravan because caravans travel, carrying spices and tales. Lucy cried happy tears at the metaphor. Harvey pretended not to melt. 3. Now launch day had arrived. Margot stood on the bus stairs holding Bun new bandage over missing ears. Nora arranged rainbow-spined books by Haight, so the covers look like city skylines, she explained. Harvey handed Lucy a clipboard, final checklist. She ticked boxes: seatbelts for story circles while driving between stops, fire extinguisher, snack cooler, registration papers. She paused at the last line, permission from Principal Blythe, and glanced toward the school doors. Blythe appeared, tie flapping in breeze, lines of skepticism etched deeper than an unsharpened pencil. He marched over. Morning, Ms. Quinn. Mr. Whitaker. His gaze traveled the neon bus, wincing at the owl's wink. Morning, Lucy herped. I've reviewed your materials. He tapped the clipboard. Educational, yes, but what about crowd control? Fire codes? Parental consent for off-campus reading? Harvey spoke evenly. The bus stays on campus. Risk is comparable to recess. Blythe eyed the twins. Nora waved. Margot dabbed pink paint on Bun's face. Instant clown rabbit. Blythe's expression thawed a millimeter. Very well. 1 trial run. He produced a whistle. You get 15 minutes before the 2nd grade bell. Lucy beamed. 15 minutes of magic coming up. 4. The playground erupted as if someone had opened a shaken soda. Children swarmed, curiosity magnetized to color. Decandra's sax intro pulsed, then faded as Lucy stepped onto the fold-out stage. Welcome, traveling hearts, she announced. Choose your passport, picture book, comic, or mystery, and see where stories can take you. Kids surged, hands in the air. Volunteers guided them inside. Beanbags sank under giggles. Nora showed a first grader how to scan barcodes with the mini checkout wand. Margot distributed star-shaped stickers to anyone who promised to read aloud to a sibling. Outside, Harvey watched a skeptic become a believer. Principal Blythe remained stoic until a shy boy approached him holding a book about planets. Sir, can I read this on the swings? Blythe blinked, then nodded, mouth softening into something almost like awe. Lucy caught Harvey's eye through the open bus window. He saw tears again, the joyful kind that made him want to shield and celebrate her in the same breath. 5. 15 minutes became 20. Blythe didn't stop them. Finally, the second grade bell rang, and teachers herded their classes back inside, each child clutching a new adventure. When the dust settled, Lucy counted 37 books checked out, 19 returned applications for summer reading club, and one crayon self-portrait of herself as Queen Lucy of Caravanland. Harvey fliked on the ceiling fans. First stop success. DeAndre fist-bombed Margot. We slayed, little dragon captain. She giggled. Like Wiggle Flame Whiskers the bus. 6. The next 3 weeks blurred into mileage and memories. The caravan visited daycares, a senior center that begged for large print westerns, and a farmer's market where Lucy performed a puppet show balancing a tomato in one hand and the narrative arc in the other. Press coverage resurfaced, but this time gentler. Headlines shifted. Local billionaire funds rolling library for rural kids. Mystery librarian revealed as hero not homewrecker. TikTok clips of DeCandra's sax solos atop the bus Jazz on Wheels garnered 500,000 views. The twins became minor celebrities, teaching followers how to fold origami bookmarks. Yet progress never walks without pebbles in its shoes. 7. Thursday of week 4, a cloudless day. The caravan slowed on Route 9, a buck road flanked by sun-bleached barns. Harvey heard a clunk, felt the steering wheel jerk. He pulled onto gravel, engine sputtering. Lucy peeked from the reading nook, flat. Tires gone. He checked his phone, no bars. 30 miles from town. For a moment, silence. Then Nora piped up, stories fix waiting. Harvey grinned despite frustration. Indeed they do. He retrieved the jack while Lucy gathered kids. Yes, kids. They just picked up 8 from a forge camp. Their counselor followed in a minivan and now parked behind. Lucy led everyone to a shade tree. DeAndre slung the sax. Volunteers carried beanbags. Under leaves flickering green light, Lucy read The Little Engine That Could while Harvey and the counselor wrestled with lug nuts. Children chanted I Think I Can, in sync with the story. When the spare finally fit, Lucy closed the book to wild applause that echoed off cornfields. Back on the road, Harvey thought obstacles or plot twists. Readers love plot twists. 8. Saturday brought the first library board review since Lucy's reinstatement. Harvey attended wearing his only tie with books printed on it, a gift from the twins. Trustees asked for data. Lucy presented charts. Attendance up 42, library card sign-ups up 57. Teen volunteer hours doubled. Trustee Granger, famous for skepticism, leaned back. Impressive, but sustainability. A flashy bus is nice. Upkeep isn't cheap. Harvey handed over a sealed folder. Endowment fund, quarterly disbursements designated for maintenance and gas. Independent of county budget. Granger's eyebrows lifted behind crimless glasses. Well then, Lucy added, and the teens have designed a merchandise line, canvas totes. Pins, playlists, proceeds go right back into fuel. Granger chuckled. Capitalism meets literacy. Hard to argue. Motion past story caravan recognized as official extension branch. 9. Celebration dinner at the cottage spilled onto the lawn. Picnic tables strung with fairy lights. Potluck dishes ranging from Ms. Dia's rose petal cupcakes to DeCandra's mother's okra fries. Teens tossed frisbees, adults sipped lemonade. A projector showed silent cartoons on a bedsheet. Harvey found Lucy leaning against the porch railing, watching the twins chase lightning bugs. We did it, she murmured. You did it, he corrected. She shook her head. She rested her forehead against his chest. I've never felt momentum like this, like life finally found fifth gear. He stroked her hair. Buckle up, Captain. The road's long. She looked up, brown eyes glowing under lamplight. Long's good when the company's right. They kissed, applause erupting from teen spectators who whooped and teased. Nora shouted you, then laughed as DeAndre pretended to faint dramatically onto the grass. 10. Later, after guests drifted home and the twins slept in hammock chairs inside Lucy's guest house, camp out. They insisted. Harvey and Lucy sat in the bus parked under oak branches. Inside, soft lead strips illuminated rows of books. Lucy traced a finger along spines. Sometimes I fear it'll crumble, she confessed. One bad article, one funding hiccup. Harvey pulled her onto the reading bench. You taught me broken crayons still color. So will broken headlines. And I already tucked 5 years of fuel money into a trust labeled Wiggle Flame Operations. Her mouth fell. You did not. I did. His smile was shy, boyish. Consider it spoiler insurance. She wrapped arms around his neck. Thank you. He kissed her forehead. Also, I registered Story Caravan org. Kids can request books online. She mock swatted him. Stop making me fall harder. Can't, gravity's doing the work. 11. July 4th parade. The caravan rolled between marching bands and antique tractors. The twins tossed sunflower seeds instead of candy, shouting gross stories. Crowds cheered. A local reporter asked Harvey for comment. He let Margot answer. Books make brains sparkle. Headline next day. Tiny spokeswoman declares glitter for minds. 12. Yet not all reception glittered. A conservative radio host labeled the program elitist philanthropy masquerading as heroism, claiming public funds were being overshadowed by private control. Calls flooded the library board. Lucy listened to one voicemail, voice trembling. Harvey offered to savage the host with lawyers. No, she said. We invite him aboard. So one Friday morning the host, Mr. Clay Davis, stepped on, arms crossed. Lucy guided him through shelves, introduced to Andre college scholarship now beckoning, presented data, let him witness a shy kindergartner sound out her first full sentence. Davis's shoulders sagged. He cleared his throat. Live on air later that day. Maybe I judged too soon. Turns out stories don't care who pays for the bus, only that the wheels keep turning. Backlash deflated, donations rose. 13. August heat arrived, air conditioners labored, story caravan added misting fans and popsicle coolers. They partnered with a free lunch program, handing out books with sandwiches. A mother wept when her son, age 9, read to her for the first time. She hugged Lucy so tight Lucy felt her ribs sing. That night Lucy wrote in her journal, I used to believe grief left a void no joy could fill. Turns out, joy isn't a liquid, it's a vine. It climbs the empty walls and blooms where sorrow once echoed. 14. 1 week later the vine gained new tendrils. At a county fair, a retired mechanic named Gus approached Harvey. Heard you fund that bus. Need a backup? I've got time and tools. Within days Gus had recruited 2 buddies. They installed solar panels on the roof, cutting fuel used by 10%. Gus' granddaughter designed a sticker sun-powered stories. The twins plastered it above the gull's wink. 15. On a crisp September morning, the bus pulled into Pinewood Hospice. Elderly residents wheeled outside under blankets. Lucy read Winnie's the Pooch. Nora handed out honey-flavored candies. An old woman named Ruth clutched a copy of Little Women and whispered, I always wanted to be Joe. Lucy knelt. Tell me why. Ruth's eyes dazzled with memory. She spoke for 20 minutes, voice frail but passionate. When she finished, Lucy pressed the book into her hands. Keep it. Joe belongs with you. Ruth cried quietly, wiping tears with the sleeve of her shawl. Thank you for bringing my childhood back. Harvey watched from a distance, chest tight. Later, he asked Lucy how she carried all that emotion. She smiled sadly. I don't carry it, I plan it. It grows into tomorrow's reason. 16. Evenings settled into routine. Supper at the cottage, bedtime stories, sometimes on the bus beanbags. Headlights turned into reading lamps. Lucy's guest house felt less like a refuge, more like a wing of home. One night the twins drew a family portrait in chalk on the driveway. Grandpa, Lucy, Nora, Margot, Bun Bun, and the story caravan with heart-shaped exhaust puffs. Harvey took a photo, printed it, framed it above his desk. Below he added an engraved plaque. When wheels turn, hearts open. 17. October's first chill heralded a milestone. 10. Secretive book checked out. Lucy planned a celebration at the town square. Stilt walkers dressed as punctuation marks. Cupcakes iced like open novels. Decanter's jazz trio performing Take the Train retitled Take the Book Train. But storms threatened. Forecast showed heavy rain. Canceling would disappoint hundreds. Harvey hired a tent company, but winds gusted above safety limits. Lucy sat at the planning table, head in hands. We can't risk injuries. Nora tugged her sleeve. Let the caravan drive to the people. Lucy blinked. The answer obvious. They divided the guest list, published a route online. The bus became a traveling party. Volunteers prepped goodie bags, each containing a cupcake and a bookmark. Rain pounded rooftops, but kids squealed as the caravan pulled up curbside, playing saxophone through loudspeakers. Cupcakes, confetti cannons, biodegradable, and a reading of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs delivered through open bus windows. #Stormy Stories trended regionally. 18. That night, by fireplace, Lucy turned to Harvey. Seems every hurdle just reroutes us to something even better. He tucked a blanket over her legs. Some stories write themselves when you steer with heart. She chuckled. You're getting good at these lines. He shrugged. Occupational hazard of loving a librarian. Silence blossomed, comfortable. Then he took her hand. Speaking of steering, I've been thinking of selling my stake in Sterling Robotics. takes me away too often. The girls are thriving. Story caravan needs board guidance. I'd rather guide pages than quarterly reports. Lucy's eyes widened. Harvey, that's billions. He nodded. Money buys candles. I want to light them, not count them. She squeezed his hand. Whatever path you choose, we'll read it together. 19. At Thanksgiving, the caravan parked outside the community center. Volunteers dished turkey while Lucy read stone soup. Harvey noticed Principal Blythe, once skeptical, donned an apron that read professional page-turner. Blythe dished cranberry sauce with one hand, recommended Newbery winners with the other. After the meal, Blythe approached Harvey. Your program reduced tardies by 10%. Kids wake up early to catch the caravan's morning stop. He extended his hand. Thank you. Harvey shook it. No boardroom grip, just shared humanity. 20. December. Snow-blanketed town. The bus swapped tires for chains and added a portable heater. On Christmas Eve, the caravan became Santa's sleigh, Louis in red coat trimmed with daisies instead of 4. Harvey as lanky elf. They delivered wrapped books to every house with a paper lantern on the porch, a silent code orchestrated by texts. At the last stop, Lucy climbed into the cab, cheeks flushed. Hair dusted with snow sparkles, she held a small velvet box. Delivery's done, she teased. One left. Harvey raised brow. For who? She opened the box. A key, same sunflower design, but this one engraved with 2 initials intertwined. Hell. Key to the library's attic reading turret. I'm converting it into a writing nook. I want you to have the first chapter. Emotion snagged his voice. Lucy, that's... She stopped him with a gloved finger. Your turn to write. I'll stop the inkwells. He slipped the key into his breast pocket over his heartbeat. Deal. Snowflakes swirled around the bus, whisper silent approval. 21. New Year's Eve, cottage yard strung with lanterns. The twins counted down with popsicle stick clocks they'd built. At midnight, fireworks bloomed. The owl on the bus winked in red, green, blue flashes. Harvey kissed Lucy beneath an arch of books hung like mistletoe. To new chapters, he whispered. She laughed. We've written volumes already. Volumes left, he corrected. And somewhere inside the bus, a timer dinged. 365 days since the night a waitress laid down a check and a stranger offered to pay it. A night that seemed small then, but wheels were already turning. 22. One more scene. Early February, sunlight pale as lemon rind. The caravan pulled into the state capitol lawn. Lawmakers milled, invited by special session to endorse a statewide mobile literary grant. Lucy addressed the assembly, voice steady. A story is a bridge. We build them on wheels now. Harvey watched from rows, fingers laced with Nora's. Margot adjusted his tie, tiny imperfection. He bent, kissed her forehead. The vote passed 45-1. Story caravans would bloom across counties, funded, supported, welcomed. Lucy descended the podium, met Harvey halfway. Reporters snapped photos, a flash here, a question there. None of it felt predatory anymore. The crows had learned to respect nests. Harvey whispered, ready to train the next fleet captain? She smiled. Let's publish that chapter. They walked outside, hand in hand, children skipping ahead, banners fluttering behind, a testament that sometimes the greatest plot twist is discovering how love, wheels and words can turn an empire of profit into a caravan of promise. The sun lifted higher, pages turned, and the road unrolled like an invitation stretching beyond the horizon. End of Chapter 6. Chapter 7. The Beaded Promise. 1. March thaw dripped from every cedar shingle of the Whitaker cottage. Snow, once proud and pewter hard, now slouched in soggy mounds along the drive. He could practice spring scales in the sugar maple, and somewhere inside, a tea kettle rattled like tiny applause. Harvey Whitaker poured 2 mugs of jasmine tea, breathing in steam that smelled faintly of new beginnings. It was the twins' 10th morning of daddy-daughter camping in Lucy's guest house, really just a weekend sleepover stretched by snow days, school cancellations. But the house felt too quiet without singing teeth brushers and bedtime negotiators. Lucy patted in wearing wool socks with mismatched stripes and a cardigan speckled by paint, evidence of overnight craft conspiracies. Her cheeks glowed cherry from the chilly dash between buildings. Truce flag, she announced, raising a folded kitchen towel. I'm surrendering the twins long enough for lesson plans. Harvey chuckled, handing her the pink-rimmed mug. They turn even lesson plans into treasure maps. Lucy sipped, sighing. True, we spent 2 hours making consonant castles out of cereal boxes. She caught him studying her paint-freckled face and tilted her head. What? Just storing the snapshot, he said. For lonely afternoons decades from now. She grinned, cheeks dimpling. You'll never be lonely, Mr. Whitaker. The story caravan wait list alone is proof. 2. They sat at the Butler Block Island. Outside, ice slid from the eaves with intermittent thunks. Winter's final tantrum. Lucy toyed with the spoon, eyes drifting. I've been thinking, she said. The library roof still leaks. We bailed buckets last storm. Harvey raised a brow. Thought the county approved the repair budget. They did, then redirected funds to parking lot repaving. Safety first, they said. She shrugged, attempting nonchalance that fooled no one. Harvey set down his mug. Order the shingles. I'll call a crew. I can't keep leaning on your checkbook. It's not leaning if we're dancing, he replied, then softened. But I understand. I'll disguise it as corporate philanthropy. Lucy smiled, tension dissolving. One day, remind me how to accept help without guilt. He reached across, brushed paint from her knuckles. Deal. 3. Later that afternoon, Harvey drove to the downtown law firm where final paperwork awaited the sale of his 60% stake in Sterling Robotics. Months of negotiation had churned through due diligence. Today required only a signature bigger than his nerves. In the mahogany conference room, pens clicked like crickets. A junior attorney slid the stack toward him. Headline possibilities flashed in Harvey's mind. Billionaire cashes out. What's next? But he imagined Lucy reading them with coffee and snorting. What's next is library shingles, obviously. He signed. A hush followed, broken by staplers and protocol. Just like that. Billions shifted to numbers on someone else's ledger, while a separate trust, Whitaker Stories Foundation, assumed form in Harvey's briefcase. Driving home, he felt strangely lighter, like he'd shed a winter coat and discovered spring skin underneath. 4. At dusk he parked near the guest house. The twin silhouettes flickered behind curtain lace. He knocked twice, Zurich code. Nora flung open the door wearing a headlamp. Grandpa, emergency meeting. Harvey stepped inside. Floorboards disappeared beneath raft paper scraps, beads and feathers. Margot sat cross-legged, tongue between teeth, threading tiny plastic cylinders onto strethy cord. We're inventing promise jewelry, she explained. Like friendship bracelets? Harvey asked. Better, Nora said. They're rings so promises can't slip off. Lucy emerged from the kitchenette wielding hot cocoa. She whispered, I tried bedtime. Apparently promises outrank sleep. Harvey crouched. Can I help? Margot nodded. Hold the sparkle beads. They keep rolling. He stabilized a shallow dish while Nora added a milky white bead shaped like a heart. Margot slid on a sunflower bead, then a blue one swirled with silver, then another heart. Finally she tied a knot with surgical concentration, snapped the excess and held up the ring. It's for Lucy, Nora declared. Lucy knelt, eyes glistening. My first promise ring. Margot solemnly slipped it onto Lucy's finger. Promise you'll stay forever, she said. Lucy exhaled shaky breath. I promise as long as hearts want me. Good, Nora said, satisfied. Tomorrow we make Grandpa's. Harvey swallowed, a mix of amusement and emotion. I'll treasure it. 5. After cocoa and teeth brushing negotiations only half successful, the twins finally surrendered to sleep. Lucy and Harvey relocated to the cottage living room. Logs crackled, shadows danced. Lucy gazed at her bead ring, rotating it slowly. They have no idea how deep promises run. They might know better than adults, Harvey murmured. He cleared his throat. Which actually leads to something. Lucy set the mug down, sensing weight in his tone. What's on your mind? He reached into an envelope on the coffee table, withdrew legal documents. I sold my stake today. We're liquid enough to fund story caravans statewide, maybe nationally, and still be comfortable until the twins graduate great-grandkids. Lucy's eyes widened. Harvey, that's enormous. He nodded. I want to do more than write checks after disasters. I want prevention, future-proofing through stories. She traced the folder's edge. This is legacy. It's ours, he said gently. If you'll partner officially, the board of the new foundation needs a director of imagination. Lucy laughed through tears. I can't even keep paint off my sweater. Perfect qualification. She sobered, voice soft. Let's talk details. But yes. He inhaled, relief blooming. One hurdle cleared. 6. A week later, Lucy accompanied Harvey to Phoenix for a literacy conference, the foundation's soft launch. The twins stayed with Aunt Elaine in Arizona, thrilled by camel-colored desert rabbits. Day 1 buzzed with keynotes and networking lanyards. Harvey introduced Lucy as co-founder. She responded with genuine stories of bookmobiles and snowstorms and 6-year-old ring makers. Donors lined up, charmed. Evening found them on a hotel rooftop patio lit by fire pits. City lights glittered, distant mountains carved shadows against violet. Soft jazz from a corner trio drifted. Harvey slipped his arm around Lucy's waist. "How's altitude?" "Surreal," she said. "Part of me still smells cedar smoke at the cottage." He chuckled. "I smell opportunity." A woman approached, Helena Stossel, CEO of a national publishing house. She praised the story Caravan, offered to donate remaindered books. Harvey's handshake was firm but brief. Lucy discussed logistic details, surprising herself with fluent corporate jargon gained by osmosis. After Helena departed, Lucy smirked. "Did I just negotiate a warehouse donation over hors d'oeuvres?" "You dazzled," Harvey said, eyes tender. She slipped her bead ring off, placed it in his palm. "Hold this a sec." He examined it, imperfect, radiant. He wondered if platinum could feel this alive. A whisper inside him said now. 7. Back home, spring detonated in blossoms. The county organized a banquet to honor the foundation. Harvey planned to announce a challenge grant match every community dollar raised for literacy initiatives. The twins, informed of the fancy dinner, demanded Rolls Flower Girls. They crafted corsages from construction paper and glitter glue. Lucy ordered a deep green dress, first new garment in years, not from thrift racks. Harvey visited the tailor, emerging in a charcoal suit that fit like integrity stitched by thread. On the big night, the community center shimmered under string lights. The Story Caravan, freshly washed, stood parked outside, all winking in spotlight. Inside, tables wore linen and trapeze featured stacked vintage books. Decanter's jazz trio tuned up on stage.